I mean, you can jump on and you can test it yourself. Um, it's quite simple. We can go in here.
And if you need to share your screen,
yeah, I think we were both trying to click it at the same time. But yeah, go ahead. And I mean, from the perspective, look, like people like to look at on-chain transactions or certain metrics to try and drive a value for, let's say, the radar token itself. So that's why, it's like, how do you know this is being used and is successful if you don't track anything, right? And I understand the reason why you don't track anything. I'm just wondering how you view that.
So I completely get that. And I think when the privacy matter actually becomes completely needed or critical, people will stop caring about metrics, because at the end of the day, like if a protocol is displaying all their metrics, then they are actually logging everything, which I'll go back to, and that defeats the whole core fundamental of privacy on chain, right? If you're using a privacy protocol, the last thing you want is for everything to be logged.
It makes sense. Do you have like maybe then some revenue statistics? Like, are you guys starting to turn revenue? Are you profitable? Are you seeing growth in terms of revenue?
Obviously, we're seeing. So obviously we take a fee. It's 0.5% of transaction fees. And I'll jump into the tokenomics side of house.
So right there, that's something you can point to and say, well, if we take 0.5% and the wallet that is capturing those fees is growing, then obviously people are using the product. Do you know how much SOL you've got in that transaction fee wallet?
We are averaging roughly between $700 and $1,000 a day.
Wow, pretty impressive.
It's actually not bad,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Who are the people that like need this most, do you think, in terms of mixers? Obviously, I think previously when you think back, or not mixers, sorry, in terms of privacy.
I was going to say, please, no, not a mixer.
I got confused because I was going to say early stage privacy was mixers, right? It was just mixers, and we saw criminals using those as some of the main user base. Yeah, when you think about people using yours, who's using your protocol mainly right now, and for what reasons?
Pretty much anyone who wants to hide their, I'm going to say like their tokens, their balances on chain. It could be, anyone. Well, I mean, obviously the average trader isn't going to use this, right? So, you're looking at like people who are looking to, bridge their funds off chain privately. You're looking at the people who, have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars.
Yeah, and the use case here is not always nefarious. Like part of it is if you're a size trader and you're trying to enter a position on a small token, and as soon as people dox your wallet and find out that's you, the price spikes and then people front run your trade. So that's one use case. Anytime you're paying anyone, you might be paying someone to post tweets for you or to do clips and stuff like that. You don't want them seeing what your treasury is and this and that. So there's like a number of non-nefarious use cases for this type of product, just for everyone listening. I think the reason there's a stigma around this is because the government always chalks it up to be that, but I think there's a very valid use cases for having private transfers.
Well, like obviously, right? It's like obviously your bank account, you don't go and buy something from the store and it shows your entire bank account and like purchase history.
Exactly, right?
It's just like I think it's just kind of a weird paradox to believe we would eventually live in a world where everything's on chain and just like you can see a window into your entire finance.
Yeah, you don't want to get beat up, at the next crypto conference. Like,
yeah. Well, that's exactly right. Like, and say for example, like Dom, like your wallet gets doxed, right? Say not only like your main wallet, but all your side wallets get doxed.
Yeah.
How is that fair on you, right? Basically, someone will come in and like, oh, look what Dom bought and sold. Why did he do that?
So maybe walk me through the process then. I'm an average guy. Maybe walk me through a few scenarios. Right, I want to buy a token. I want to send money. I want to perform a swap. Like, walk me through a few scenarios of what people would do where your protocol comes into play and how it helps changes things, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So I went through the deposit before, so you can see the Solana's now inside the shielded pool. So that was through the deposit tab here. So you can use Shadow Trade. As I mentioned, we only support tokens at the moment that are listed on our platform, and this goes back to a case study that we did as well. And what we found is that our protocol basically delinks all bubble maps as well. So to kind of like counteract any nefarious use cases with shadow pay, we've gone about it and we've manually verifying tokens at the moment, and that's basically to stop people from getting around bubble maps.
Okay, so step one, you deposit to a shielded pool. Right now, you're free to kind of transact here through your protocol anonymously.
Yep. So you can come in here. You can select, Solana USDC, and then you can execute, the buy/sell. So you can do both way swaps, and you can even swap between tokens. From there, if you wanted to do a send, say I want to send, 1 Solana to Dom, I would come in here, I would select 1 Solana, I would go internal. So we have an external option, and that allows you to basically send your funds to a centralized exchange.
And I could send you my wallet now if you want to just go through with this demo.
I mean, I can. Yeah, we allow basically the sending externally, and that's to once again offboard to a centralized exchange. So we did some testing with Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, just to basically ensure that the external transactions landed. Because what we actually do is we don't send a typical transaction on chain. So basically everything's done through our program on chain, and we rewrite it via a heap frame. So we just wanted to make sure that we wanted to make sure that those funds actually landed in the centralized exchange wallet.
Okay, so you kind of just talked a little bit about the process that these transactions undergo before getting to their destination, et cetera, to make it like privacy preserving here. You said heat wave stuff we're not going to understand. Can you kind of maybe walk through the brass tacks of this without being too much, leaning too much into the engineering jargon here?
Yeah, absolutely. So more so the privacy technical stack. Is that what you're asking?
What happens once I send my money?
So it gets routed through our Rust contract to our back end. Basically, I'll show you the process. We'll come in here, we'll send.
Send in 500 SOL, nice. Need an address to paste in there?
I'll send you.
It's in your clip. It's in your clipboard.
So this generates a sign message. You accept that, and then pretty much everything then is executed via our back end. So it goes through the proper checks, and then it goes through like the balance rewrite, and there you can see the transfer is completed. So we'll jump out. Jump in here.
Now, does this send it? Does this transfer it directly to the wallet or to their pool?
There you go. To their shadow pay pool. Okay. So even if they're not a user, if you use that internal send function, it'll create pretty much everything that's needed for that user to essentially log in, and then they'll be able to withdraw, or they'll be able to do whatever they want inside that pool as well.
And on SolScan, on SolScan, what would users see? Do they just see the transaction going from wallet to a bunch of an address with a ton of transactions?
No, not at all. Let me show you exactly what is displayed on chain. Sorry, can you see that SolScan there?
No, we can't.
You might need to hit the share this tab button at the top, and it should flip over.
There we go. Beautiful. Yep. So this is what you'll see in SolScan. So you see a heap frame request, and then the input account, that's our relayer. And from there, you won't see any links between the sender or receiver or the balance that was sent either. So all you've got is basically a program log, and then we'll go into the balance changes.
So fully untraceable.
Correct.
That's pretty fascinating. I think the biggest selling point here is, hey, how can you get this? It's one thing for a bunch of people to go to your platform and use it personally, right? How do you get this on the back end integrated into everyday platforms that people use? Phantom even, right? Like, what's maybe the goal and thought process there with integrating this further into just everyday activity?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have standby. So we've got our Shadowwire SDK. So it's available for anyone to use. It gives you quite a simple. You can literally fork it, and then you can essentially build whatever you want on top of the ShadowPay infrastructure.
So this is fully open source.
Correct.
Do you have any idea of people, projects, platforms currently using this? Does that go against Radar to even talk about the people that would be using it, or?
So what we're actually integrating with a solve protocol called Godel. So they're going to be using our SDK and our backend infrastructure to essentially be able to transfer Godel completely anonymously.
And you guys still retain like fees from doing this, of course?
Correct. Yeah. So we retain 0.5% fee on those transfers.
Can I tag them in the show notes? Godel. What's their @ handle? And if not, you just let me know and I'll just leave it. I can't
absolutely.
spell. I don't know like how to spell Godel.
Godel.
And obviously you're like Aussie or something like that, so it like gets obfuscated a little further with your accent.
Yeah. I'm from Sydney, so
Sydney.
There we go.
Let's go.
Hey, I used to work at DeFi with a bunch of Aussie guys, great dudes, but man, on calls I was like asking them to repeat everything.
I know.
Yeah, we
Chill,
do kind of. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I know. Chill and I have some mutual Aussie friends here in the crypto sphere.
Shout out the guys.
Shout out the guys, man.
Totally. If Irish is the worst, like a thick Irish accent, there's like Newfoundlanders are bad, and then like the Aussies are right in there.
I have no issue understanding Australians like at all,
Same,
dude.
to be
It's, like,
honest.
weird.
Well, God,
I love
don't
the
know,
accent
like,
actually.
hit me with that. No, and to be honest, I'm not Duncan at all. I love Aussie. I just
Luke, curious what the BD side looks like when you're going out, finding companies that could use this this feature. Like, are you guys reaching out personally to companies, or are you waiting for them to come to you? How do you grow and scale a business? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we actually have Zen working for us at the moment. So he's working on that, on the BD side of house, reaching out to different protocols.
For those that aren't familiar, Zen put us into contact with Radar. He's a supporter of MTG, and he actually connects us with a few projects, so that's pretty cool. So he's fully doing BD for you and getting you guys integrated into protocols.
Yeah, exactly. So he's reaching out, obviously through his network, and then cold calling as well, or cold reaching out to different platforms, tokens, protocols that can essentially integrate our tech stack.
Is there like a specific type of project that you're looking for, or is it just any project? And then also, well, let me ask that. I'll let you answer that question first, and I'll ask another.
Yeah, so obviously we do our due diligence as well on the project, and I'll do quite a deep dive into what they're building, and especially if they have a token tied to them as well. The last thing that we want is to be tied to a protocol rugging.
Got it. And I guess I don't know if I forget if we talked tokenomics. Did we touch on that here, Dom?
We had started to get into it a little bit, but I think we maybe got sidetracked.
I don't think we closed the loop on that. So can you also kind of just, because I want to connect what you're doing on the BD side and kind of see how that brings value to the token. I think it's just a really big conversation happening now. So I just wanted to let's kind of just break down the tokenomics a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go check out our tokenomics on radarlabs.io/tokenomics. But yeah, here's a brief rundown. So pardon me. So 20% of the protocol fees go to holder rewards, 30% goes to buybacks and burns. You need a minimum 250K for eligibility for that. And then you can see the weighted multiplier there. Oh, sorry, go.
Do you guys, are you guys, I know, let's just say as the price of Radar goes up over time, that 250K worth of tokens, that will change. Do you guys feel like that will fluctuate at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, if that does happen in the future or the near future, we can obviously take a relook at the tokenomic side of house. The last thing that we want is for people to get priced out. Say 10, 20, 30, 40 mil market cap. Obviously 250K Radar becomes unobtainable for the average person, and then you obviously got then whales start hoarding. So the last thing that we want is unfair distro in that case.
Got it. And I kind of like cut you off a little bit, and I'm sorry about that. When you were kind of talking about the weighted tiers, go ahead and feel free to break that down for us a little bit.
Yeah, so what we do is we do a weighted tier multiplier. So you can see a little example down there. So holding 5 mil Radar will give you a 2.5 weight, so you'd receive twice as much of the allocation as if you were holding 250K. I feel it gives some benefits for holding, and the last thing that we want to do as well is limit people for staking, etc. I think staking is a terrible idea, and I've seen a lot of people get burned with a staking mechanism.
Yeah, staking tends to not be, as good as it may seem. I'll say that, because a lot of projects kind of just, they just kind of slap staking on there without actually thinking about it. Um, so yeah, there's this huge conversation just happening right now. We're seeing like projects get acquired, and there's nothing that goes to token holders. We're seeing, there's recently a project that rugged that we talked about, and I don't think they came in with the intention of doing that. But really, what it is, a critical hit to the business, and it's almost like, well, they can make the decision to change change anything about this sort of agreement with the token. So it does kind of require a lot of trust from the token holder side to the team. And I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts. Like, how are you thinking about the value capture for your token? How are you thinking of your token in terms of how that relates to the community?
Well, give me the hard questions here. I'll go back to I'll circle back to the first point. So you said that the token holders aren't basically getting their fair share, right?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, like, so when a project, so say for example, like gets acquired, basically what you're saying is how would the token holders be rewarded? Is that right?
Yeah, so I guess just to zoom out a little bit for the audience sake and maybe give you a little bit more context. So we see like that a lot of projects, really the end game for a lot of these is to either be like a private revenue generating business,
Yep.
to get acquired by some larger company, or failure outright, which that happens more often than not.
100% it does.
So I guess with those kind of end games in mind, the token is kind of supposed to give holders upside in the actual underlying business, and I guess that's the conversation that's really been that's really been the big conversation happening recently. So yeah, I just wanted to see your thoughts on how do you think about that? Like, where do you see your particular product going? Do you feel like it's more of going towards kind of private company generating business, or is it kind of something that would potentially be acquired? We see like Uniswap, for example, they haven't given token holders like any of their their revenues for a while and things of that nature. So just wanted to get your thoughts, see what you're thinking about that, how you're thinking about that from a founder perspective.
So from a founder perspective, so my end goal isn't to get acquired. I've been building this project for, is it going on like nearly a year now? It'll be a year in March. I've never thought about like that as being the end goal. It's always been about self-sustaining revenue generation, and basically becoming the go-to lead privacy protocol.
Got it. And so I remember earlier in the interview you mentioned that you're generating, I believe you mentioned like I think about $1,000 a day in fees.
Yep.
What's the fee? Obviously you're doing something right. What's the feedback been for customers?
So it's been mainly like nitpicky UX, which is honestly fair enough. And everything that all the feedback that we've gotten, basically we've taken that and then we've made those UX changes to make pretty much everything more simpler for users.
And I'm seeing a lot of apps coming out, apps like Phantom, FOMO.
Yep.
We even saw Believe at one point was making an app.
Yep.
How are you thinking about that? Like, are you thinking about like making like some an app to make it more kind of accessible, user friendly, or is it just kind of or I should even say mobile?
Yeah.
How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so we actually have our application pending approval in the Google Play as well as the Seeker store at the moment. So it'll be V0.1, which uses the new Phantom Connect protocol that they've released. From there, once we have everything nailed down, we'll release V1, which will be, pardon me, a local wallet essentially, and it'll basically give self-custodial to them.
Got it. That's awesome. No, that's awesome. That's huge, actually. Pending approval there. Is that something that is generally kind of out there? Is that something your community knows, or is this kind of breaking news here on MCG?
It's been teased, yeah. So if you look at the main website, you can download the Android SDK or Android APK. Apologies, and then you can go through and install it, sign up, and from there have those shielded pools on the go on your Android device.
That's really cool.
That's actually really dope. But look, I mean, we definitely want to respect your time here, Luke. I think we've gotten a lot of good questions in here today. Unless you guys have anything else, Josh or Dom, I think we're.
I think on a closing note, it's just like, look, privacy needs to be the standard. There was a cyberpunk angle, I think, in crypto in the early days where it was like everything needs to be on chain. But even the cyberpunks kind of did this anonymously and with the privacy aspect too. I think the more we've evolved, we've seen that, well, not everything is actually as anonymous as it seems to be. And I think privacy is something that we need to make a standard. So it's interesting what you're doing. I think it's fascinating. Luke, maybe closing thoughts on how people can get involved, why people should start being more private about their transactions, and then a call to action on how they can level up their privacy on chain.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow us on obviously X, so radar.fun or Radar Labs on X. You can join our Telegram community. Discord community will be launched fully in the coming weeks. As for privacy, so I think I mentioned earlier in my thing, crypto was kind of, promises this like, privacy product on the magical internet. But, it's essentially not that. Everything's logged, transactions, sender, receiver, amount, IPs are logged, everything's logged on chain. So, if you want to stop that, use Radar.
Awesome.
There we have it.
Well, look, Luke, we really appreciate you coming on.
All right, GMCG, welcome to 2026. We are here. As you can see, we're in the MCG studios. We have a new look and feel, and
boom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Boom.
GMCG, welcome to 2026, y'all. How's the new year for you guys, Josh, Dom?
Dude, banger, bro. It was a banger. I'm rested, refreshed. Absolutely ready to cross 2026, dude. Look at the new stream layout. Look at Josh's studio. We're looking good.
Dude, the studio looks fire, bro. Fire. Green lighting. You see the MCG logo in the background. Miss the gang. Hey, miss you too, bro. Miss you too.
We miss the gang, bro. We miss the gang. Dude, we got a ton to talk about. Jeez. Of course, we get off stream and it feels like everything happens in the world. Maybe we're cursed, bro. The markets start going up as soon as we get off. Geopolitics, tensions and stuff rises.
World leaders are getting kidnapped and stuff, and everything's going on. Everything's going on.
MCG goes offline for like a week or two for a break, and the whole world falls apart. In other words, we need to be streaming to hold the world together. So that's why we came back. We came back to save the world.
Man. Wow. How was your break, guys?
Good. Rested.
Dude, awesome.
2026 was, or 2025 was rough, and it was good to get, just some time to touch grass or snow or wherever you are. But yeah, sorry, Jill, you cut you there.
No, you're good, bro. Yeah, same. Rested, refreshed, ready to go. Honestly, been doing a little bit of reading, trying to just dial in on my trading, my strategies, my thesis on the market, just updating everything, updating the mental software, if you will. But feels good, man. Ready to go after a break, ready to rock 2026. And I don't think it'll be an easy year, but I think it will give us a chance to make a ton of
do you want to start there, Chill? You had a good little tweet that you talked about this morning, I believe.
Yeah. I guess let me bring that one up.
GM Top Fumbler, happy 2026. King's Mentality, shout out you. Greetings, boys. Welcome back. Cole Town, miss the gang. Yes, we miss you too. Josh's studio, powered by CPT. Yeah, unfortunately, I still have a wire here that I need Patrick Sang to replace the wire with some CPT.
Real quick, maybe while Chill pulls up his tweet, what have you guys done for the studio? I see you got the cushions back there to block out the noise. You got the MCG logo. Kind of what work went into that?
So this wall is all soundproofing, and this obviously gem we have as our logo, got that ramped up. But I actually want to do a couch here, and I've thought about getting another monitor and having it going in the background with something on it. Not I guess, am I the next like Jim Cramer? Probably not, but I don't know, could use a button or something somewhere. Like, yeah, like when we hit a nice trade or everyone hits a lick, we want to have something there. So
that would be dope.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, there have been some licks to be hit over the break. I'm not sure if you guys saw Repo. We got Radar pre-show as well. Like, dude.
Yeah, Radar, man, Radar pre-show has been wild. From like, we saw them, they were on MCG the first time, sub $1 mil, and now they're $3 mil.
And yeah, Repo off the bottom, dude. Bottom tick that Repo, and new all-time highs. We're looking good, and it's looking like it's that's just like its first leg. But yeah, I mean, a lot of licks to hit. Market's been like turning, people are getting bullish, and I kind of wanted to send this tweet out because at the same time, it's like, understand that it's not just from one extreme to the next, right? It's not just, oh man, it's over, to, oh man, it's full bull, we're back. It's going to be somewhere in between. So it's just like, you have to like fight the FOMO. Like, there's a ton of tops out there that you can potentially buy, but is it really a good idea to buy the top or long resistance? So that's why I just kind of, word of caution, like, don't let the PTSD win, because we know better days are ahead. Just got to be an optimist. At the same time, don't let the FOMO win. Don't feel like you need to buy the top, because there are more opportunities ahead of us than behind us. And like I said, look, 2026 isn't going to be an easy year, but we can win massively, if we just do things right. Take the lessons we learned in 2025, put them to work and in practice in 2026, and we'll be all right, man. I mean, I guess with that said, you guys want to kind of hop on the macro charts.
Let's do macro, dude. I was talking to Josh a little bit before this too, and it's just like, and we've kind of reiterated this on the show, but we've seen every market have a historical year in terms of equities, commodities, indexes, private equity. Everything is just skyrocketing, ripping. The one thing that hasn't has been crypto, and it feels like, I don't know, there's got to be a catch-up trade. And Chill, I think you want to talk about this a little bit, but there's got to be a catch-up trade somewhere where these investors go and say, hey, I'm up 15, 20% on my index fund. Maybe I should rotate a little bit of that into Bitcoin, which is down 6% on the year. So like, when does that happen? And I think, Chill, maybe you want to speak on that a little bit.
Yeah. Actually, let me see here. There's a tweet that actually kind of talks about this really well. Here it is, from a guy named Clouded. I saw this tweet. The bull case for crypto is unironically that every asset in the world is melting up. The gap is so wide, and it provides room for outperformance, biblical outperformance, let alone outperformance after FOMO, proper risk reward pricing, et cetera, et cetera. So I do think that, like, during this multi-month downtrend that we've had to close 2025, we have now fully reset everything. We fully reset people's perspective on things like ICM. We've fully reset everyone's kind of bull bear sentiment. And I talked about this a little bit in a tweet not too long ago as well. But everything is just, it feels like it's reset and it's ready for a shift higher. Again, doesn't mean that we're just going to go up only forever. Like, don't try to go from one extreme to another, but understand that, the market has fully reset, and now we have an opportunity to really get things going. And this was the tweet I believe I was referencing. We called this rally here on January 2nd, and I'm basically, I think this was actually the tweet here. So I noted just a few, I think at the beginning or ending of last year, when was this? Yeah, December 29th.
Joe, we had a segment on this, and you laid out the thesis when everybody was bearish, and you said at 86, 85K, this might happen. So I'll clip that for you too.
Dude, and I just want to say this again. I told you guys when we were on one of our final streams of 2025, I told you guys we called the bottom in April, and we're going to call this bottom as well. And that's exactly what we've done. And Mike Watt spoke in April, Trump, and he spoke again in December. Yeah, like I'm sorry, but like when you when you couple that with the macro and liquidity shifting in our favor, we know Trump wants to run the economy hot. Liquidity's coming. We were in a tight range. Price was really compressed. If you really look at it, you'll notice that sentiment had bottomed. We reached like the worst sentiment that's comparable only to I believe some of the worst
FTX,
times,
man.
Yeah, like FTX lows, some of the worst times before. And we can, if you guys want, like we can even go into that. I thought I posted about it, but maybe I didn't. But there's actually a few charts that kind of show all of that. But either way, historical lows sentiment wise, historical lows on chain wise. And now, we're seeing a reversal in price. Based off of these notes, we literally called. I'm like, well, it looks like a rally is coming. It's time for a trip back to 95K. We outlined that, on chain is heating up with USD1 and other ecosystems. Other opportunities are popping up. Some alts are starting to take off. We'll talk about that here in a second. But like things like Pepe, things like Pump Fund was even pumping. Things like Met is bouncing hard off the bottom. We have a fart coin as well, reclaiming key levels. So we noticed that on-chain is heating up. Alts are starting to come together. All we need to do is break this red box here. And basically, to give you a live picture of where we are inside this red box, making our way to 95K. Now, I don't know how you guys are thinking
candles,
about,
man. When was the last time you saw Bitcoin just like slow grind up like that?
I'm not gonna lie. It's been a while, but what I want to see right now is not a slow grind. Like I want to see like boom,
explosive.
Like stand on business, Bitcoin. Stand on business, Satoshi. Like show me what you have. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin do something like this, to pull, maybe go up to like 95K, but like pull back to this sort of 90K area, and then go on to continue higher. That's what I'm thinking is about to happen. Now, how long that takes, days, weeks, what have you, that's kind of remains to be seen. But there's another tweet that I kind of wanted to show you guys, just to kind of talk a little bit about where this is headed. I kind of want you guys' opinion on this one. So shout out to homie Killer XBT. So he points out that 11 of 13 out of 13 Mondays, 11 of them saw a drop greater than 1.5 to 2% after forming a CME gap. And basically over the weekend, we formed a CME gap. I think it's like a little below 90K. It's like 89, 8 something. But let's just say 90K. CME gap formed around 90K. And basically, for the most part, after making a high on Monday, we normally revisit that gap. So my initial target was 95K. Maybe we make it there. Maybe we don't. But after the first week in January, I wouldn't be surprised to see us like kind of pull back, test some support, and then go higher. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I just think Bitcoin maybe, like you said, maybe trade sideways a little bit longer and then just kind of blasts off. I do think we have the catch up trade. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish, I think, generally.
Yeah, same here. I mean, honestly, like this picture here does it literally does it all the justice in the world. This picture right here. On the left, you see the bottom action in 2022, and on the right, you see where we are right now. Literally ready to turn up, ready to go, and it's looking good. It's looking good. So that's Bitcoin.
I think even to talk about Bitcoin and macro, we just gotta talk about Venezuela real quick. I mean, I got some clips here, and this was crazy. I mean, for those that are unaware, I'm not sure, you're probably living under a rock, but over the weekend, what was it? At this point, I'm losing track of time. Was it
Saturday night?
And maybe Josh even wants to talk about this. He probably has been reading up more than me. But over Saturday night, as China had just wrapped up a meeting with Venezuela, the United States went in, kidnapped the Venezuelan president, and have since extradited him to the United States. I guess you could call it extradition or whatever you want to call it. And he's going to be holding trial here. In the meantime, Trump has basically made statements saying, look, they've been stealing from us. They've been stealing oil from us. We're going to go in. We're sending U.S. oil companies into Venezuela, and they're going to start putting in new infrastructure and mining some of the oil, which obviously brings oil costs down. We're probably going to see a lot being sold to the United States. Trump also said we will be selling that oil. I'm not sure if we'll be selling it to China on the open market, to ourselves, what that looks like exactly. They also mentioned, well, we kind of wait for a smooth transition of of a president here to Venezuela, someone that aligns with the U.S. We're going to be stepping in as the interim presidents, right? So we got, we got the United States basically running Venezuela in the meantime, and that has a lot that comes with it. That doesn't make that makes things kind of shaky for Russia and China, who have been getting oil at a discount for years and years and years from future prices and their deals and relationship with Venezuela. And we also have, like I said, more U.S. probably coming to the United States, being pumped to us, definitely, obviously, from Venezuela. On top of that, they have very rich resources outside of oil, silver, gold, etc. And the Kabasi letter does a great job breaking that down. I should have pulled up somewhere.
Before we get to that Kabasi letter, and I do want you to pull that up in a second, every one of these strikes, whether it is Iran striking Israel back last year, whether it's the Trump going after certain groups, or this strike, it always happens Friday after the markets close. And I put this tweet out as, look, 1:30 a.m. and it was Friday. Sorry. So 1:38 a.m. Friday, as it was happening, I said, U.S. strikes always seem to happen Friday evenings after markets close. Strikes in Chinooks likely carrying special forces in Venezuela. And then Jones and I kind of riff. He said, what do you think the implications? Don't see oil spiking, which we did not see. And actually oil's pulled back because of what Dom just mentioned, the vast reserves that have likely come unlocked. Most curious is Russia and China response. If they're landing special forces, they have air supremacy. It'll be looking for a quick and swift resolution, probably secure airfields, flying troops. This is, the shock and awe is basically what I said. Is the shock and awe will be over. Crypto will sell off a little bit because it's liquid. That's another dynamic we see. But this will be resolved basically by Monday. And even within hours, I think it was resolved pretty much. And here we are Monday. If this happened 10 years ago, markets would have been, oil would have spiked, markets would have been uncertain. There'd be a lot of questions. But in this day and age, it's the only kind of missing piece for me is the response from China. Does this open China's laneway to take, a shot at Taiwan? They say, well, the U.S. is doing it over here. Like, maybe we'll do it over there. I don't know.
Well, you know what? We saw when America went in and we took out the nuclear facilities in Iran, there was no response from Russia or China or any of their allies, if you want to call them that. I don't know. Do we see something different here? Obviously, this is, I think, has more implications on allies of Venezuela, because they literally will be hit with more expensive oil. Like, this is going to affect, I think, a lot more than just the initial kidnapping. So I don't know.
What they'll do is flood the markets, which will give them more leverage over Russia, because sub $50 oil, I think, in Russia, and they run massive deficits. Like, their economy starts to fall apart, and that's what they're looking for, is that leverage to resolve that war, in my opinion. So, and also we've seen the heavy oil refineries are all in the south of the United States along the coast, and part of the Keystone XL pipeline was to bring heavy oil down from Canada and then put it into those refineries. But now they can just ship it from Venezuela. So, but yeah, go ahead with this.
Well, you're a Canadian. Maybe as a Canadian resident here, how do you feel about the Keystone getting shut down? Like, it seems like a very bad move now in retrospect.
Well, Canada. Retrospect, that happened in Trudeau 1. Was they shut the Keystone down? That was Trump 1 first term, and at the time, we wouldn't have foreseen what happened now, but it removes a lot of leverage that Canada had in terms of resources. because Venezuela has all the same resources or some of the same resources. But
in mass perpetuity.
Yeah, not a great reaction. Like people in Canada are kind of like, oh, great, but whatever. We're gonna figure it out. We got to figure out our own problems. So,
well, and that's part of the thing with the United States. Like, I, this is a personal opinion, and I don't want to get political, but it's like, how long does the United States want to sit in as an interim president of Venezuela? Like, we don't need to take over Venezuela's issues. The United States has their own issues that we could be focusing on right now. So it's like, I think that's where a lot of the divide is. Like, hey guys, we have, cities falling apart here. Let's focus on our country first rather than going other places. But nonetheless, let's watch this video. This is just in, obviously not just in anymore, but President Trump says large United States oil companies are going to go into Venezuela and extract oil. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time. That's a direct quote from President Trump. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure. Here is that clip exactly. And let me know if you can hear it.
As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time.
All right. So you heard it from him first, and then to like kind of get into some of these numbers here on, what the U.S. is going to be extracting. And again, there's a lot of information here.
Just zoom that in a touch.
Sure. Venezuela currently has 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserves, which is the 34th largest in the world. They have 300 billions of barrels of crude oil in reserves, which is the largest in the world. They have 4 billion tons of iron ore reserves worth nearly 600 billion, 8,000 tons of gold resources in Latin America, 500 plus million tons of coal reserve, 2% of the world's total renewable freshwater resources, which is actually a big one, ironically, for a lot of these energy facilities that are going up, and then untapped strategic minerals, including nickel, copper, and phosphate. Venezuela is now strategic U.S. asset. Yeah, you have to understand there's really no angle to look at this bearishly from a U.S. economy perspective. What's happened here is either the U.S. is going to have complete control of Venezuela and basically siphon whatever they want out of it, or they're going to put in an adjacent leader. They will put in an adjacent leader to Venezuela. It's going to basically give the United States free range of whatever they want. So it's an interesting situation.
I think a lot of people don't understand as well. I mean, I'm not trying to get like political or anything like that. It's just facts. Venezuela is right in our backyard. So I understand why people like, oh, like, why are you getting involved? Well, really, you don't want a competitor, right next to us, essentially in striking distance. And so I think that's, people have to understand that. And I think that's bullish for the overall U.S. economy, bullish for gas prices, as far as them going down.
Yeah, and China and Russia were in there doing it anyways. So it's like,
Well, it's also one of these things, like the Venezuelan people are actually happy about this. There's a lot of arguments going on from both sides. And it's like, whatever you want to say, like, this was a dictatorship. There was a democratic election in 2024, I believe. And the woman that was rightfully elected did not get to go into office because the dictator decided to say, hey guys, this is actually not going to happen. We're going to stay in power. 1/3 of the Venezuelan people fled the country. And there have been countless killed, murdered, and just this is a narco leader. So like no way, shape, or form you put it, we did a public good for Venezuela. That's just the facts.
Yeah.
Now, was it, some people want to argue if it was a war crime, if it was wrong, if we shouldn't be basically invading another country. Those are all different questions, but you got to think, this is not a pro bono thing. We're not doing things for free. It's like you go into another country, you make something good happen. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. Like, we're not going to use resources to go and eradicate a leader, put them in a better position, just have a new power take over and do the exact same thing and have a narco run state again. So the truth of the matter is, no matter how you want to look at it, it's just like this is what is going to happen. So I don't know if you guys want to touch on that.
Nah, I think we pretty much covered that one really well. I mean, it's a it's a net good for our economy. It's a net good for, Venezuela. If the people are rejoicing about it, it's like, all right, well, if they're happy about it, it's a good thing. At least to them, it's saving them, and it's not destabilizing the entire country and the surrounding countries by causing a mass migration.
Have you
Hopefully it
ever
does.
seen Team America World Police by chance? Have you ever seen the
have not.
movie? All right, it might have been before your time, Dom. I don't know, Corey or Chill. Sorry if you've seen that.
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
All right. never mind.
Before our time, dude.
Before your time.
Nonetheless,
All right.
can we talk a little bit about, like, that was an insane, like, we went in there and within a few hours went to Venezuela's most protected, heavily armed military base, captured the president, left without a single man dying, without a single vehicle going down, and did it in a few hours. He was back in New York City a few hours later, China was still there after just having a meeting. Like, what an embarrassment to Venezuela.
Yo,
and what
Top
an absolute show of
Fumbler
power.
knows what I'm talking about. Yes, must watch before
Before-
cancel culture. It definitely was pre-cancel culture. Cool. Let's move on from this. I think we covered.
Can we
it
cover
well.
this tweet real quick?
agree.
Because I think
Yeah, go
this
for it.
shows like not exactly, of course, there's like some room for error here, but look how valuable the resources in Venezuela are, okay? Kabasi letter again, guys, you better be following him. This is absolutely insane. Venezuela currently has 303 billion barrels of crude oil reserves, which Trump says the U.S. now controls. Oil, it's just so funny. Oil prices are trading at $57 a barrel, making Venezuela's total reserve worth $17.3 trillion. Even if the U.S. sells this oil for half of the market rate, that's still $8.7 trillion, and we're not going to sell all the reserves. Like, that's just unreasonable. But still, you can see the value here. In other words, in 12 hours, the U.S. has gained control of oil reserves worth more than the entire GDP of all countries in the world, aside from the U.S. and China. That's 4 times larger than the GDP of Japan. Most people do not realize how much the world just changed. Oil markets will react to the news for the first time Sunday at 6 p.m. The next few days will be critical.
Yeah.
Just important
that
to
puts
highlight.
it really. It's a good asset. It's a good asset. Good asset to have for the U.S. and great for the people.
On that note, do you want to talk Jupe? I think that's a pretty big conversation going on right now. The buybacks on Jupiter might be stopping.
Let's talk about this. There's so much to dig into here, and I'm gonna pull up a tweet real quick that really highlights that well. So if you didn't know, basically Jupe put this question out at the beginning of the year. The Jupe founder, or at least Jupe team. I'm not sure exactly who he is, but anywho, he's questioning the buybacks. The Jupe team is saying, are the buybacks actually working? We spent, $70 million on them, and the price didn't really help price. And so this initiated this much larger discussion that has already been going on, and we've been covering it live here on MCG, throughout the latter half of 2025. This conversation of, okay, like, what does it mean to hold a token? Like how do we give that token value? Is it equity? Is it buybacks? Is it like, token gated access, or is it vague utility, or is it like true ownership? And you guys know where we stand with that. It's true. It's all about true ownership of tokens. But there was an interesting perspective on this from the next thing. So basically he talks about how, this whole, we're not going to read this whole thing, but he talks basically about how spending hundreds of millions on buybacks is completely worthless. And I think this is where Dom was very, very vocal about buybacks being a complete waste of capital, at least early stage, because basically all of these token projects, they're early stage, way too early to be wasting money on, focusing on the token price rather than actually on the underlying business. And that's where the much larger conversation comes in about, okay, if you're, instead of spending hundreds of millions buying back the token, what if you spend that on marketing? What if you spend that on improving the product so people can actually use it? What if you spend that on focusing how you can drive revenue long term? And if you do that, the ultimate question is, where does that token accrue value? Like, how does that token accrue value? And I think Tolly, he responded to the Jupe founder, and he said something really interesting, and I want to see what you guys think about this. He says capital formation is super hard. It takes 10 years with TradFi. I think it would be better to emulate this setup instead of buybacks. I think the closest thing in crypto has been staking, that some holders that are willing to hold for a long time dilute those who don't. Store profits as future token claimable protocol assets. Let people lock up and stake for a year to get a token yield. So as the balance sheet grows, those who stake net a bigger gain. And as you can see, Soju here, perma burn for rev share, burn to earn. That's also something that he's thinking about, which, I think that's also a pretty great idea. So I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on this? Like, I kind of like that, but I guess it still needs to be fleshed out.
Let me read through this again. And I actually did like Soju's comment there, perma burn to earn. I think ultimately we need to tie equity to platform usage in a token, and we do want to have some sort of burn mechanism, because naturally deflating the token is naturally deflating equity, which means everyone else's stake in the equity is also inherently more valuable. So like the future isn't just one or the other. I don't think it's totally a mix of equity token plus some sort of network effects that cause the equity token to be deflated based on how much the network is used, which means the value of the equity actually increases, meaning the token value increases. And every time, meaning that also, which also means network activity likely increases as well, which again causes that kind of loop there. So I got to read up on this totally and study more. Let me maybe read through it again here to try to understand it. Capital formation is super hard. It takes 10 years with TradFi with funds that have a 10-year plus horizon. I think it would be better to emulate the setup instead of buybacks. I think the closest thing in crypto has been staking, that some holders that are willing to hold for a long time dilute those who don't. Store profits as future token claimable protocol assets. Let people lock up and stake for a year to get a token yield. So the balance sheet grows.
So it's basically a staking mechanism. It's a staking mechanism to ensure that you get profits from the business that's generated. But I think this sounds like my problem is it sounds like a security, and I don't know if that
it also just sounds like a staking mechanism. So what happens with the revenues? There's revenue that they set aside for future dates, right? Am I understanding that? And then you stake to get that revenue. It feels like a waste of money, time, and resources to have that revenue just sitting idle for years and years if you're staked up, right? Am I misunderstanding this?
And that's why I said, like, maybe this could be fleshed out a little bit, because maybe you don't like dedicate 100% of revenue, but maybe you say 50% goes to anyone who's willing to stake, right? And if you're like, for example, if Hype did that, if Hype said you can get a piece of our revenue, you can get 50% just by staking Hype. I think that's I know there's some staking mechanisms over there that you can do, like based on funding rates and stuff like that, but direct revenue, I think that's a little different.
It would definitely need to get fleshed out, and they would definitely need to put that idle capital to work. Otherwise, they're absolutely wasting time. You can't just have years and years of capital sitting dormant until people staking kind of ends and they get paid out. So could get flushed out.
And ultimately, yeah, go ahead.
No, interesting thought. I think we're all still trying to figure out the answer and iterate around it. Like I said,
yes,
I'm in the boat right now where I believe there has to be network effect. It doesn't have to be, but depending on the protocol, there has to be network effect paired with equity, paired with a burn mechanism that drives the value of the equity up as well all the time. So I don't know, man. Who knows?
That's the other thing. I think the overall vibe, consensus that we're getting from other players, right? We see Alliance DAO. He's like, every single token project too early to do regular buybacks. That revenue generated is best used to go and conquer the world. We see HNT, also pausing their buybacks. They're basically saying, "Hey, look."
I didn't even know Helium was doing buybacks. The thing is, Helium doing buybacks is frankly so stupid because their emissions are so high. Helium died and suffered from its own success. People earned Helium, and naturally they cashed out that Helium by market selling it, which is why DePIN projects just don't work, and you can't have perma buybacks on DePIN projects because you're never going to outdo the inflationary mechanisms.
And I just think that it's starting to become more and more obvious, at least to me, that ownership is literally the way. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw the tweet from Seven. Seven posted a really good tweet about this, and it was in reference to SOAR. I don't know if you guys want to kind of transition conversation a little bit.
Is it the post he
But
just made?
no, it was the one about Soju and what they're doing with SOAR.
Yeah, definitely transition to that. It fits perfectly. I actually have his tweet pulled up. There you go.
Yeah.
This is huge, by the way. Those that haven't seen this is like very important.
Yeah, this is insane. So Soju here, they made a huge announcement earlier this year, just yesterday. He said, "There's no for Met. It's simple and clear. There's no equity. There's only the token. We didn't make a single dollar off the token, but are willing to spend over 12 million to buy back almost 3% of the supply. We will use revenues to run the company, grow the company, or buy back tokens based on valuation and cash flow, with the objective of growing earnings per token, something I don't think I've heard anyone say before. And we will explore models, especially those that work with Meteora, to formalize or introduce more safeguards for token holders. The current front runner is SOAR's DRP model." And so this is a huge step that they're taking, because you have someone in Meteor that is huge. That is a huge revenue generating business. In fact, so huge, they were the top DeFi revenue generating protocol of 2025, and you can see that here, generating 1.25 billion in total fees, and that outpaces Hyperliquid, Pump Fund, Uniswap, Jupiter, Athena, Pancake, Radium, pretty much everybody, right? So it's really interesting, and it's really important to note this shift in the entire market from, hey, we need to worry about the price, we need to buy back tokens to paint the chart, to and transitioning that focus to something like this. Hey, we need to give token holders value. And I think this write-up, you guys can take a look at this, but this write-up really is really important, because there's a few takeaways I'll quickly kind of summarize this with. So first, you have where crypto is right now. Vague utility. That's really all it is. Buybacks, governance, hold this many tokens to get access to this product, blah blah blah. Oftentimes that makes it increases the friction when it comes to the user experience. Going on into the rest of this write-up, he basically says the future is ownership, where the value accrual is more structural versus just buybacks trying to paint the chart. And VCs, they actually have a way of valuing the tokens. Why? Because the tokens get with ownership, you know what you own, you know how the value flows to you, and you have downside protections with the codified safeguards, and based on a thesis that you generate for yourself, you know the upside. That's ownership. But what we have now is teams that kind of behave altruistically. Basically, they will buy back, but they decide when the buyback is, how much they buy back. Will the buybacks continue forever? Will governance matter? Probably not. And Aave is a really good example of that. Recently, I don't know if you guys know what happened with Aave, but there's a huge fight between token holders and the underlying and the company behind Aave Labs. But a lot of the utility, a lot of the value that we have now around tokens is vague and mostly determined by the team, where it should be intrinsic. And you do that by means of ownership. And that's what this article here states. And that's why what Met is doing is so important.
Also, what happens in liquidity events. Can you go back to the tweet from Soju? Actually, I want to kind of cover that. Because Soju signals a few things here. Most importantly, there is no equity. There is only the token. Okay, right there. That's very important, because that's where we see a lot of discrepancy. Like you just said with Aave, you have Aave Labs, the underlying company, which they probably sold equity. They have equity in the company. And then you have the token, which is different. I'm just using this as an example. If there is no equity, there is just a token. The token acts as the sole deriver of value, right? Whether that is in form of some sort of equity using the launch on SOAR model or a form of buybacks. I think no matter what, the signals from Soju that there will never be equity, there will never be a sale. The token is the sole derivative of value. And if you want to gain value and upside to Meteora, the token is the way to go. So I think that was like a really clear signal. Also a huge signal, of course, for launch on SOAR. Just a huge shout to their model being something that's like very interesting and something that Meteora is maybe looking into to potentially do. So two big things from them. And I would just say, you see the Meteora chart, right? I mean, we can even put my screen up there. It's been moving really nicely. And I think we've seen volume come back into the trenches. If you look at where the volume's going, you've actually seen a lot to bonk, not so much to pump. And so again, kind of reinforces that thesis of, Met might be a good bet in 2026 for kind of overtaking a lot of the volume that pump got, because we just don't think, pump is going to be able to do it like they did in 2025. I also think what's nice about this ownership model or this equity model, let's say, or hypothetically, let's say that Meteora does go down the DRP standard that SOAR has to offer. Josh is toying around. It's kind of
sorry, I was trying to get it expanded out. My bad.
All good. No, this looks great actually. What's interesting about Meteora is if they do go down this equity model, you do still trade the company that has like unlimited upside, which is one of the issues I have with equity attached tokens. Is a lot of time it's pretty easy to value based on like price to earnings, expected value, maybe some of the contracts they've signed. Like there is ways to value companies. With something like Meteor, which is a primarily on-chain asset, you can still value it like a cryptocurrency, which has very, very high ceilings because it's a direct barometer of the market. If volume comes back to the market, Meteor is a direct proponent of that, or a proprietor of that, and makes money based on that. So you get equity in a company that's already doing really well revenue-wise, but as soon as the market comes back, you also benefit from that as a crypto participant. So it's a barometer of the broader market, broader crypto market, as well as like a stake of equity in the company, right? So I don't know, it's an interesting thought. It'll be interesting to see crypto companies kind of embrace the equity model, because I think there's a lot of value there for them, specifically more so than just Web2 companies.
And I want to add on to that, Meteora thesis by sharing my screen. You kind of said like Met kind of acts as this broader exposure to what's happening on chain, especially with the way they're positioning around ownership, empowering that entire sector. I don't know if you guys saw this just a few days ago, the Kawisi letter. I mean, you guys got to follow him. But anywho, he said, breaking news: Solana on-chain spot volume officially overtakes all off-chain exchanges except Binance in 2025 at $1.6 trillion. Since 2022, Solana on-chain volumes have surged from 1% of total volume to 12%. In 2025, Solana surpassed Bybit, Coinbase, BitGet, all in total volume. Meanwhile, Binance's share has declined from 80% to 55% since 2022.
Why they're coming on chain.
So the world is coming on chain. That's why you see you see Coinbase pivoting to their DEX tokens, right? That offering. You see Binance coming on chain. You see that with Aster as well, what they're doing over there. But ultimately, being on Solana is the best place to be. And I quote tweeted this news here, because I wanted to say that Solana is the best place to be in crypto right now. It's a spot with the most trading volume, the most opportunities. And underneath that, you also have Met. You have the pioneer of this ownership model. And you see that coming together with SOAR being the front runner in their decisions. And, so you have the basically almost number one, or about to be number one in volume, in crypto, Solana. And then you have one of the top tokens on the chain, Meteora, positioning themselves well. So I think this is bullish Meteora, and it's bullish for our thesis.
Really,
and,
really quick before we move
them.
off Met, and I want to get on the street because we got 20 minutes before America.fun. Matt, can you pull up the Matt chart again? Dom, I don't know.
I got to pull up
the tab. Can maybe just zooming out here, like what's kind of thoughts on where this goes. Like, in my opinion, I think personally, and this is an investment advice, that this could be a $3 to $5 billion network in terms of token value, and we're sitting at 100 to 200 million FTV. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts of where this heads, but where do you think this is based on the others, its peers?
I'll let you go first, Don.
Yeah, so about 50% is circulating. We know they have an inflationary schedule, about 10% a year for the next 5 years. So FTV is 300 mil, but FTV is a meme until it's like actually being released. So we know the schedule. More so, they're sitting at like 150 million market cap right now. Yeah, Josh, I think it's despicable. And I think the only reason Meteor is so sold off is because of the extreme fear in the market and the free money people got from airdrops. I think it's pretty clear. And we've talked about this before. We've given the thesis, so I'm not going to harp too much on it. But absolutely, the sell pressure is largely in part from people that got free money from the airdrops with a large 40% unlock. And I think they're running out of clips and chips to sell off of. I also think people are realizing that boom, Meteor is the highest DeFi yield generating protocol, beating Uniswap, beating Jupiter, beating some of the other major DeFi protocols that everyone knows. Yet this is trading at 150 million market cap. Like, it's trading below what they took home last year in revenue alone. So it's a little bit silly. Now, when Soju starts leaning more into the SOAR standard and the DRP model, I'm talking about the token. There is no equity. It's just a token. Well, okay, now we know the token's value is tied to the company in some way, and he's iterating on that, figuring it out. I do think 150 mil is kind of despicable, to say the least. So, yeah, I agree with Josh. I think even in a poor market, we see this trade. Let's say we take the 125 million revenue number they did last year and take it 10x that. I would say about 1.25 billion is like a pretty nice target, I would say, for me at least.
It's a FUD target. No,
it's a FUD target for sure, but I want to keep it conservative with everyone. Still 10x.
To add on to that, if you flip to my screen, I just kind of have like some levels marked out, just basically because I'll be trading this chart as well.
Give us a flag. Give us a flag. Chill.
Let's see. Like, here's the thing, like on other things, I can just hit market cap and flip. I don't even know. I would say if we're 150 mil market cap, I say 10x above this is not far-fetched in my opinion. So 10x this would be $2. But I'm not sure if that calculates the right way with the FDV versus market cap. So I don't know how it plays out for price. All I know is when it comes to market cap, like over $1 billion is about circulating, over $1 billion circulating market cap. I think that plays out here. So I can't give you a price where that plays out at.
Let me show you a similar price action that this reminds me of. I'm sure, Josh, you remember, I think you got the Arbitrum airdrop back in the day. You said you were using Arbitrum. If you guys remember, this is what Arbitrum looked like. For months, Arbitrum launched. We got the airdrop sell-off pressure, and then we kind of got a better market conditions overall. And then in 2023, we saw it skyrocket, surpassing all these levels. So it went from peak, let's say 60%. And then from the lows, it rocketed 200%. Obviously, in terms of crypto, that's how much. Arbitrum is a completely different case than Meteora, but this is just a price action this kind of reminds me of, minus, the continued sell-off from Arbitrum. Of course, we know there's a lot of inflationary metrics being factored in, completely different factors, but I think the earlier stages of this, the airdrop sell-off to the pump, is similar to something we're going to be seeing with Meteora. So I'll just leave it at that.
And I'll say this, I think we've mostly seen that sell-off already happen. You know, we've gone through, and the other day, I don't know if you guys, for anyone following my content, I said, look, bottom is in on Meteora. I said that over here somewhere whenever it reclaimed and kind of changed structure. I think that Met is likely going higher here. Yeah, we got some resistance we have to work through over these next few days and weeks. But if you're a holder long term for Met, I think I think these buys below 80 cents. I've been a big proponent of buying and DCAing Met below 30 cents. If you're buying these buys here would age very, very well, in my opinion, just my opinion. Not financial advice, but over these next couple of months,
we were buying around 30 and sub 30 on Met.
Yeah, same.
From our own personals. So
I mean, we were screaming about it around 100 million. Like, how do we let this get to 100 million market cap? I do think though we probably see some sort of like, look, this isn't just going to V shape. It's going to take some time to like shake out
100%.
these people that were waiting for a little exit pump. So I think you got time. Honestly, the DCA is the way.
to end it off, Daddy Duster says it perfectly. I'll say it. Met is one of those plays that pays for your grandkids' college. Absolutely.
Yep. You said it, man. You said it.
100%.
Not me, not us.
I'll be trading this chart. So, you know, like I know we're kind of at some resistance here a little bit. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe we pull back down here and then we consolidate a little bit, pull back up, but we'll see.
We got 15 minutes. I want to rip through a bunch of stuff and then some more charts because everyone wants to see more charts. So
okay, let's speed run it though. As a shout to Daddy Duster here, you know, he said y'all see the street Open Droids tweet. This actually was on my list, so I'm glad you said it. Yeah, make sure you guys are following Open Droids. We've been tracking Street. We've had Maya on quite a few times. Another player in the whole equity model of ownership here, ownership token, if you will. And they have very ambitious plans for the new year. They're working with some good lawyers. And yeah, keep eyes on it. Open Droid seems to be in their batch 1 of projects that they're going to be launching. And they mentioned in January, I think, is what they said they're going to be doing. So it's going to be a big January. I would pay attention. Go follow Open Droids. Robotics is a hot narrative. Maybe even I'll go to Street real quick and see if we have any more teasers.
Yeah, and what's Open Droids? Is there can you click on that?
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
Building the super abundance machine. Yeah, okay, I got that right. Building a super abundance machine through multiple phases of first principled robotics development and deployment. So it's a robotics company, which we know is hot. Kodak was hot for a while. You know, we can see it's a docs team. This isn't some like anon crypto project. This is a real project. So we'll see what they can do. We know Avi's kind of helping with Street a little bit. So if Open Droids needs to go and raise a little bit, maybe Avi will help them go on a raise run. It'll be interesting dynamics at play nonetheless. So I don't want to take too long here, but you can see very ambitious. 2026 at a 400 mil cumulative equity valued interest in bridging with Street. Read more. So there's a lot of cumulative equity value coming. They got a big ambitious stuff going on. I don't know. You guys can go read up more on that, but we'll keep it short. Did you guys see the equity conversation Vibu had? I'm not sure.
No. Let's run through.
Okay, it's a bit long, but I'll try to squeeze it out quick. Vibu made a comment on equity. It's obviously the talk of the town, so no surprise here. Equity is 2 things. Claim on a company's terminal liquidity event, e.g. M&A, which applies to most companies under some threshold. Okay, we talk about liquidity events quite a bit on this show. Enforceable claim on a company's cash and cash flow and a credible threat of activism to achieve this, which applies to the largest ones that couldn't be acquired. And again, this is important too. Enforceable claim on a company's cash and cash flow, which is something we're seeing MetaDAO really take, I guess, a stab at here, making sure all of the revenue of the treasury, goes to the treasury and people have the choice to with that as they choose. Token buybacks don't achieve either of these 2 outcomes. I think in theory, an immutable buyback and burn at the protocol level might come closest to doing the job. Provider per K.Crypto's observation. That's that the team can truly walk away entirely and there's no impact to the business. Otherwise, buybacks are basically a temporary gift to exiting holders, often just the team itself, but they solve nothing that equity solves for. Also, this is the key, right? A lot of the time, these buybacks are literally just for the team themselves to have exit liquidity. You got to understand the team's got to sell into liquidity, and a lot of the time they have these unlocks that come, they got to sell into it. So it's really just like null impact a lot of the time. So this is a good point that most people miss. On terminal liquidity events and having a claim on cash, SOAR or MetaDAO could help, but not sure how this works in practice. E.g., can token holders legitimately sue in scenarios like Windsurf, where the team gets hired away, but the equity isn't purchased? That's a really interesting question, actually. You would think token holders can't both claim the tokens aren't securities but receive the protections that security laws provide in a real court. These are good questions. Until these are fully solved, tokens will trade a huge fatal discount to their equivalent equity, in my opinion. Now, these are great points. Does this mean that the fatal discount is an opportunity for arbitrage here, or maybe too dangerous for you to take a stab at? I think we see this with CPT, for example, right? We look at CPT and we don't want to become a shill for CPT here, but you see a company with a massive CEO building a massive product with massive contracts and patents in place, And I think right now it's trading at like a 15 million valuation, right? We know they could go. We don't know this, but I would assume they could go and raise at 50 mil, whatever. But you see the on-chain equity tie is trading much, much lower than that. Now, does that mean there's an arbitrage opportunity, or does that mean it's too risky and people just don't want to take that chance? That's where you have to make that decision. For us, we talk about CPT, and we seem to think maybe it's, we have faith in the SOAR model, and maybe the SOAR model can prove itself out, and we can see the repricing of that asset. But that's the big question. And that's, I think, where we see a lot of value here is, can you take advantage of that arbitrage? And of course, this is going to be proven. And I think things reprice a lot when we see proof of what Vib was talking about here, where either we have, enforceable claim on the company's cash flow, or we have a liquidity event, right? These two things, I think, will prove out the SOAR model if it works, right? As well as Street. And if it doesn't, well, that's gonna be very, very bad. So I think right now we're in such early stages. We need to see something like this happen to really stress test these models. Like, that's what a lot of people are waiting for. And SOAR even made a comment on this, but I think I heard Chill maybe breathe a little bit, so he might be wanting to say something.
Oh no, my bad. I think I was just breathing, but once
breathing.
you're done, yeah, I was just out here living, you know what I mean? But
Feel that.
if I like I don't really have too much, but what's SOAR saying there?
Yeah, read it real quick, and then let's go to Repo.
Yeah, I want to hit Repo.
Radar and some other ones.
Sweet. SOAR's debt agreement is structured to be prepared to capture the myriad of events where founders or other corporate actors might try to avoid a liquidity event, including but not limited to acquires, disguised exits, distribution, and set of sales, and other schemes. SOAR has the lawyer background, and like he just said, they're hoping to at least take action against people that tried to be bad actors and commit fraud. Essentially, is what that is. So. Really, really interesting stuff. Nonetheless, you want to talk about Repo, right? Just want to pull up the chart here.
Yeah, I got the chart.
Saw this write up, and maybe I'll read it before we get into the chart. It's really long, so maybe I won't actually read it. But it goes over a lot of what Repo's been doing. So speak on that, Jill.
So this is Kaiser. I don't know if you guys know him, but you definitely should follow him. Kaiser is my tech quant. I trade with him. We just do a lot of research together and stuff like that. And he knows a lot about Repo, but I'm gonna share a tweet that I had that kind of helps to break that down in a much more simple, in a much simpler way, and kind of helps me to shorten the thesis a little bit. So I'll share my screen.
Sweet.
But basically, I put out this tweet. This was towards the end of January. I said, hey, look, Repo is looking very good going into Q1. The main reason is because of their steady adoption. 51% of users relock their token. So what does that mean? In order to basically, Repo is think AI agents plus prediction markets plus data validation, right? So basically what Repo is doing is creating a market, an environment that aligns incentives for users, for enterprises, and helps companies come to a place where users can actually help them to identify and validate high quality data to train AI agents, right? And so to participate, users would need to lock tokens, and they basically get rewarded as they participate, right? So you buy some Repo, you lock it up, you use the platform, and you get rewarded for it. Now, on the enterprise side, they also need to lock the tokens, right? They buy a batch of tokens, and those tokens that they buy act as rewards that go out to users. And so by 51% of users relocking tokens, that shows that, number one, the user side is that pipeline is already built out. People are interested, they're here, they're staying. And then on the other side, on the company side, they're also gaining traction. There's already an AI agent company that market bought 70K Repo in order to fund a voting market, so that way users can come vote on the data, identify high quality data to help this company train. And ultimately, this is a great place because it aligns incentives for users. They can get great rewards, and it aligns incentives for companies because they can also access great data. And they have a ton of things coming here in Q1. But so far, bang, look at that, boy. New all-time highs. And this is looking absolutely massive. But this honestly, 51% relock rate means that most of the people aren't trading this chart. They're simply holding this and actually using the protocol. That's what's important. That's why this chart is going up. And that's why it's one of my bets for Q1.
There was actually a live repo update as we were doing this 28 seconds ago. I'm not sure if you want to pull that up just for, or I can pull it up.
Yeah.
Why not? Whoever gets to it first, I guess. I have it on my Twitter monitor, so I don't actually.
That's been a wild trade. Shout out Chill, man. Honestly, great trade. We had him on MCG December 18th. I've pinned the show notes in the show notes, so you can go watch there.
Jordan Grolman is joining. Oh, from Blockworks. Ooh, okay, all right. He's a contributor to ecosystem growth. Jordan brings an incredible customer and GTM go-to-market lens to our product first approach to build and grow repo network. Nice, really nice. Repo V2 coming in Q1. That also comes with that data decks that the team was talking about when they came on the show the last time. They're going to accelerate subnet onboarding, so and provide subnets on chain. So essentially, companies can come buy a batch of repo and create a subnet that users can come and help them to train AI agents. And again, this is all about supply off the market, deflationary tokenomics. And Top Fumbler, you're absolutely right, bro. $1 billion protocol here. But looking really good. Obviously attracting the interest of some pretty huge people. And I love the way that this thesis is playing out so far.
Sweet. I know, Josh, you wanted to go over some tickers. We do have America.fun waiting for us. Do we want to talk about that after or cover those quickly before? We have like 2 minutes.
Yeah, we got sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I can run through real quick.
Let's just rip through them.
Yeah, let's rip through a couple. So let's start with Radar. Let me share my chart here on Radar for you guys. If we look on the 12-hour, we have talked a ton about Radar, bro. And every time we look at the chart, Dom says the same thing. A great chart, because it really is. It really is. Hitting new all-time highs today or recently. And it's looking really good. And
Chill, it's not only just new all-time highs, it's walking the dog up. It's not just candling up to all-time highs in an unsustainable way. It's just slowly people are catching on, walking the dog up. And it's like, I mean, that's the price action you want to see.
You literally read my mind. Consolidate, break above. Consolidate, break above. Like it's a really clean chart, really sustainable.
Clean chart, really good fundamentals here. I did the back of the napkin math. They're doing about 50 to 70 million in volume across their protocol, given that they take fees on the withdrawal of tokens. I believe there was 2 fee takes that he clarified in the show notes, but very, very good. Based on $500 to $1,000 or $700 to $1,000 daily revenue.
Nice. So they're already revenue generating, and that's their end game. They mentioned. Let me take this off for a second. I'll close out Radar by saying this. When we had him on, I asked him about what's the end game here, right? Like, are you looking to get acquired by someone? And he said, nope, we're looking to be a private revenue generating business. And so far, that's exactly what they're doing, and they're well on their way to being a successful business with the revenue that they're generating. So
look at this, man.
Looking
Fumbler.
good.
Repo
Top
is a $1 billion protocol minimum.
$1 billion.
That's some thesis. That's some conviction right there. Maybe you put out a post and share your thesis. Maybe we'll feature it on MCG next time.
Yeah, 100%. One that I've been really paying attention to, and I tweeted about this that I'll have a write up soon. But basically, when I charted this out, this is what I charted out. Bang here, and this pennant that was forming, and it's broken out of it since then. But the price action here on Umbra looks absolutely amazing, and there's a thesis that I'll write about it. In fact, if you go to the Optimist, my homie JW, There's a group called Optimus that they run, and they actually did some research and they did a deep dive on Umbra as being the private DeFi foyer. So this is the article here. I'm actually going to read this later today after stream, but it gives a really good kind of overall thesis on Umbra. But from a price action standpoint, a lot of these tokens are looking really well.
Confirmed on MCG multiple times that Crew has updates coming.
Yes, and we'll likely have them back on pretty soon. Speaking of ownership tokens, another one that's kind of been catching my eye lately was Solo. I think Solo honestly was ICO price was at 80 cents, and it's literally just been holding that level so well. So I think it's something that it's just been on my radar. I think a lot of these ownership tokens, they don't tend to have these ridiculous runs, because they're already kind of higher in market cap after the raise is done. But from a price action standpoint, these charts are very easy to trade and also easy to hold as a long-term bet based on, the whole ownership back end of it.
Yeah, this is one I would say I'm very interested in right now too, especially with that, we know that they have some guys from Circle that they brought on board. As it gets to that ICO price, or as it gets to that price that's very similar to its circulating treasury, I would say that's a spot I would be very interested in bidding. Because again, if people decide that this project isn't the future, it isn't going to succeed, at any point in time, they can raise a vote, liquidate that treasury, and you can get basically an equal amount back. So I would say, like, watch that ICO price, watch that treasury price, and if you can get anything either below that, equal to that, or slightly above that, maybe look to bid. But
can we pull up AOL now?
Yes, that's a great chart too.
Let's get AOL going before we
I saw they were pumping before we came on stream. Let me see here. Let me go to the 4 hour. Boom. Holy crap. Look at this chart. Just absolutely breaking out. I can't even fit the green candles on my I can't even fit the green candles on my screen. I think the 12 hour really puts it. There you go. 12 hour puts it in perspective. This thing is up. Let's see. This thing is up almost 300% in the last 24 hours or so, or at least since the beginning of this year. Looking really good here on the AOL chart. So we got the 411. We got the team here to give us the scoop on exactly who they are, what they're doing, and what they're hoping to accomplish in 2026. So let's go ahead and welcome up the team.
Nice. And look at that. We also got Paula in there, man. I love that support for America.Fun. Ugal, welcome. How are you?
Hey, thanks. I'm doing really well. How you doing?
We are excited to talk to you and get into this whole USD1 meta, what you guys are doing to kind of capture this market. It seems like it's popping off right now. This is kind of the talk of the town. So we got you on at a perfect time.
I'm not the least biased person in the world, I have to tell you, but I believe completely that USD1 is definitely the meta right now. It's where it's going to be going to, in my opinion, as well. I think 2026 is definitely the year where this all breaks out.
I think we have to start there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to start at USD1, kind of get your broader thesis on why are you bullish on USD1? What makes you have, or like, what does your thesis look like? Because we've seen kind of the vibes, we've seen the attention, the mind share grow around USD1 recently. Why do you think that is, and why do you think it has such a big future?
Yeah, so just quick background. I'm technically speaking an advisor for World Liberty Finance, and so but I just want to say nothing I say has anything to do with the opinions of them, and I don't have any inside information to share, nothing like that. But I believe in USD1 for 1,000 reasons, but that's actually its own show, to be honest with you. But we started building America.Fun back in July, actually. And the idea was I was like, okay, USD1 doesn't even exist right now on Solana, but it's going to at some point, surely. And when it does, I want us to be the place where all this USD1 stuff is happening. And so the first step toward that is a launch pad, of course, which is what we have, what we're making right now. We've done 4 launches that were semi-curated, or 5 launches that were semi-curated the past couple of months. We've made $750,000 of LP revenue off of that. We have a permissionless version of the site, so something is going to compete with Pump and Bonk. here coming in just a few days. And so so this is step one, and then we have so many more steps to building what is, you know, really sort of be like in our view anyway, it's going to be the USD1 sort of like hub. It's going to be where you go every day. You're going to be able to do all sorts of different things besides just launch tokens around USD1.
Why is it important to have sort of a chokehold or like a foot in the door with the USD1 ecosystem on Solana? Like, we got to understand a bit more about USD1, where you think it's headed, to understand what you're building here with America.fun.
Yeah, I know, and the problem is, I think some of the reasons that some people are very bullish on USD1 are things that it's not super smart for me to like say like you know, a lot of like words about those is the issue, but I can say that, you know, I'm putting my time and money and effort into building this thing out. I think, you know, a lot of other big players are too. There's a partnership, BonkX, Radium X, World Liberty Finance. We at one point, by the way, were the special and curated projects part of that sort of group, and then we sort of branched off into our own space. Now this is what we're doing because we think we have different stuff to do. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are believing in it. Those who are building their see that there's a lot more interesting things you can do with, how should I say it? Like DAI was like an OG stablecoin, right? And DAI has its own issues because it has exposure to volatile assets, etc. You have USDC. Not everyone loves Circle for various reasons. You have Tether, which, as far as I know, still hasn't proved that it has asset reserves, and so you have issues there. You have BUSD, which was fine for a while, Binance's, and then they start to roll that down. I don't think Binance, if you have to trust anything about them, I don't think they're going to roll out BUSD and turn everything into USD1, 2 months later or whatever, because it's a bad idea. You know, so it seems to me. Didn't
Binance just come out with some like 20% APY for those staking USD1 on their platform though?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. But like, why would they do that? Like, why are they betting the farm, so to speak, on this kind of thing if they don't see it as the future too? And so, you know, I don't pretend to be in the same room as CZ all the time. But whenever folks like Huggy, CZ, and the crew over there are making decisions that align with where my head's at anyway, and with where my interests are at anyway, then I have to lean in, and that's what happened back in July. We said, you know what, we're gonna start building something and see what we can do.
I have a question around USD1 real quick.
Yeah.
I've followed World Liberty 5 since it was announced, and I understand USD1 is a stable coin, but can you just give us like the ultimate structure here? Like, World Liberty 5, is it like a Trump related project? Is USD1 the stable coin issued out? Like, just give us the TLDR of how these pieces all play together.
Yeah, so USD1, the way that the crew talks about, like Zach and Chase and the other Zach talk about it, is basically USD1 is a product, a part of the World Liberty Finance ecosystem. And so you get out there, you get everyone using USD1 for various reasons. You get exposure, you get LP pairs, you get it on centralized exchanges, etc. You get it on perp dexes, which now it's on Astra all over the place. You get this kind of thing first. You get out there, you take market share. And then you have a lot more interesting things you can do with that, which are part of the WLFI ecosystem. So that's sort of the play here. I think Zach Folkman even posted today or yesterday something along the lines of pretty much what I just said. Basically, it's like the first step in is to have this really great stable coin that does more than just is used for more than just the things you think it could be used for. Like, they're thinking way bigger, which is why I sort of like where their head's at in that way. They're thinking a lot bigger. I like to think bigger too. And I think that whenever the crypto folks catch up to where exactly and what all USD1 can be used for, when you have a team like them, it's going to be very surprising.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, we're kind of seeing this surgence, and I think a lot of chatter on Twitter, because USD1's basically came on chain and they made this official statement that they're making this big push. I think they're putting some marketing spend or some acquisition spend towards maybe the on-chain aspect. Can you give us a little summary of what's going on there, just so I can understand better?
Yeah, so TLDR there is that there was a vote, a governance vote. There's been only like 4 or 5 governance votes for World Liberty Finance so far, and one of them passed recently, like 3 or 4 days ago. And it was basically to take, I think, $120 or $130 million. I'm not sure exactly what the number was. Take that to support the USD1 ecosystem, right? And I don't know what that means necessarily. It could mean they're just going to put a bunch of USD1 against USDC LP pairs everywhere. It could be that. I don't know. But I think that the market is thinking that probably means investing in projects. It probably means supporting tokens. For example, they've bid SPSC and OneCoin so far. The market thinks that might be what they're doing next. The market thinks a lot of these kind of things. So I can't tell you what exactly is going to happen because, frankly, I don't know. But with $100 and some odd million, you can do quite a lot.
Okay, so we got a good understanding of World Liberty Financial, their USD1 stablecoin. Now, this is where America.Fund comes in, right? You guys are building this protocol. You seem to be currently not permissionless. You said you're making a move there. Maybe tell us a little bit about America.Fund. You were talking about the history a bit. Just give us the full kind of recap and a better understanding there.
Yeah, for sure. So America.Fund is, first off, every contract ends in USA. Right. And so we're leaning into the whole launch meme. So you have like a pump ending for pump, you have bonk ending for bonk. And in our case, you're going to have USA. We're fully leaning into sort of the meme of America. This is the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. We just entered it like a few days ago. Okay. Like this is the year of the United States of America, the way I see it. And so we want to build products starting with this launch pad here. We want to build products that are going to be useful for folks to do things on chain. And so we had the semi-curated launch pad previously. We had several good things come out of there. Everything went to multi-millions. Valor hit $17 million. So it was good. We're trying to make sure the teams are okay. We had some hiccups. I'm not going to lie. We had some hiccups, and we figured out what the problems were and how we can fix those going into the future. We do have the semi-curated thing that's going to continue, but we have our permissionless launches, which will be soon. And the good thing about the permissionless launches is now we'll be able to go head to head with some of the bigger boys, but we have differences in the way we approach things that I think are better. And just from like a thesis, if people go to my profile, they search like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, these words, you'll see my post from like July, I think it was, or maybe August. And I laid out this big, long bunch of theses about what I think is wrong in the system and how I think we can fix it. And one of those was having only one ticker of the same name. Now I put that public. I had a meeting with Binance, frankly, out in Hong Kong, and then a few weeks later, we have 4meme had only one ticker. So I realized, okay, I should actually be a little quieter about the things that we're innovating on, because otherwise people are gonna take them. But that's like one example. Another one is when you do a permissionless launch on America.Fund here soon, it's actually going to cost you a little bit of money. So you can't just go there and press the button and buy the initial tokens on the launch. You have to pay $200 worth of AOL token to do it. And this is going to mean we probably have significantly fewer launches, almost certainly. But those that do it are going to be more serious. And so I want to get rid of a situation where you have bots and scumbags who come out there and just make these things, and people they die before they get to 30K so that the dev can make $265 or whatever. That kind of thing. And so we have loads of these sorts of things that are being built into America.Fund to protect the users and to build it around the AOL folks.
So this is interesting. You almost have this $200 payable in AOL as a filter, right? Anyone that's not serious or half serious, unlikely is going to spend that kind of money to launch a token. And you think that's a good way to filter out some of the bad actors, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's that and a few other things, but I think that one's going to be the one that irritates people the most in terms of like if they're bad guys. And so I figure, if they don't have good intentions, I'd rather they not use our platform at all. Like it's better, it's not good for us. I want us to be the place where people go, we're representing, in the way I view it, we're representing the best of the best versions here of USD1, right? And so I don't want you to come there and have a bad experience. I want you to come there and have a good experience. I want most of the people to come there to have a chance at winning, not have a 0.04% chance of winning, which is what it is right now in Pump, right? You have literally almost no chance of winning in a bid. And so the way we can do that, I think, is to make sure that we have good people launching. And one way of doing that permissionlessly is to have friction in the front of it.
Okay, this is interesting. So, by doing this, people might even think, well, this is just a way for America.Fund to make an extra $200 on each launch. But you actually give a lot, probably more actually, in terms of if just like Pump Fund has so many launches that get a lot of volume, but 99% of them die, or a big percent of them are bad actors. You might actually make more money if you didn't have this $200 paywall, if you will, rather than having this $200 paywall. Do you guys how'd that conversation look when you were considering adding this permissionless aspect and making it cost a little bit of money? Because do you think you're losing out on some volume? You said currently you have, I think, maybe I got it wrong, $2 million you guys have earned from Meteor volume so far. Seems to be the current way you're making most of your money. Do you expect this $200 to be a big revenue generator for you rather than just liquidity pools? Or I'd love to hear your thoughts more on that. Sorry, that was long-winded.
Yes. So there's 3 parts there. So first off, we made about $750K so far in LP fees, and we put almost all of it, I would say like 90+% of it, back into the ecosystem. So buying the tokens that launched on us or buying the AOL token. What we're going to do in the future as that continues is people who have AOL token, they can stake it on a VE curve, by the way, which I haven't talked about publicly, but they can stake their AOL on the VE curve and they will get a share of that LP revenue. And so if they had been staked during the past 4 months, of course it didn't exist, but had it existed, there would be quite a good bit of money going back into them. We think the revenue is going to increase because of permissionless stuff, of course, but I mean, who's to say? But those who actually are convicted and get in there, I think they're going to make money. Now, could we make more money doing a pump fund version of things than, excuse me, than the way we're doing it? Probably. I mean, I don't know the numbers on Walmart versus Chanel, but probably Walmart does a whole lot more volume and maybe makes a lot more money profit than Chanel does. Fair enough. But I don't want to run Walmart. That's not the company I want to run. That's not that's not the audience that I want to cater to. I want to cater to a different audience that's a little bit more serious, that is still likes to have fun, still wants to gamble, still wants to play the game, but is a little more serious than someone who's just who's basically a bunch of trash that's elsewhere.
Yeah, there's skin in the game for deployers. So love that. So it's just like, okay, talk about the verticals you want to see launched, the types of products and projects. Are these meme coins? Do you want to see, we've made a name for ourselves covering ICM and the early Believe launch pads. Who's a token deployer on AOL?
Yeah, so let me tell you a couple that have already happened, and then I think it'll give you an idea of what's going on. So we have a token called Dream. It's based on Dream Job, which is a cartoon. And you say, okay, what is that? Why does that matter? Why do you have a cartoon there? Well, the artist behind it is actually an Adult Swim artist. Like he's a legitimate artist. You can see his stuff right now, like I believe on the front page of Adult Swim for his other cartoon. He's making a new series. And we thought to ourselves, how interesting would it be for people to be able to get in early on something like that? Maybe this is the next Rick and Morty. And then you have the official one at, essentially zero market cap associated with that token. So something like that is interesting to us. We had Valor, which was just a meme, a straight meme. We have Burger. It's pretty much a meme. That's about all it is. We had America the Game, which unfortunately didn't pan out. The dev didn't pan out on that. But that was an actual video game that was being made, that fellow there. And so we have Patriot. Patriot is made specifically for donating to veterans, and so it's raised $50-something thousand so far in fees that are being donated to veterans in America. And so it really runs the gamut. We have 300 or 400 projects that have applied to do the curated launches. We only launched a few of them, and most of them we told, hey, just go over to the permissionless one soon. And if you end up doing well, if you break out a little bit, if you show, then we're going to support you at that point. But do it yourself basically is what we're doing. So really, it could be memes, man. It can be regular businesses. We had a golf related. I had a chat with like a golf related a guy whose friend is running a golf related software technology business that wants to do something. So you might think all on the ICM side of things. Like it's really kind of runs the gamut.
We saw Coinbase got a lot of flack from Thread Guy for kind of fumbling the Creator Capital Markets meme around Nick Shirley or the token. What do you think your approach might be different than something like what Jesse is trying to do with CCM and the Base app?
Yeah. So on the CCM side, I have views that probably not everyone agrees with. I think it's really hard for those things to work without a good bit of attention being put into them and with a little good bit of handholding of the creators themselves. Just because you're good at making YouTube videos or you're good at you're good at building an IG following or whatever the case might be, doesn't mean you have any clue about how tokenomics works. Doesn't mean you have any clue how to communicate with users in mass in other ways. These things don't really stand out. And so I think that where they F up, in my opinion, is, and it's only my opinion because I don't know, I'm not in the room with Jesse whenever they have these conversations, but I don't think they're managing this for them enough. And I think that's what is required. So in our case, if we actually do have this one, I can't say what it is, but it's a very politically oriented movement. It's a very big one. They've been around for a couple of years. They're extremely popular. Coinbase actually is participating in this thing as well. they are coming to us to do a launch. And they have experts on their team. They know how to do things. What they know how to get on TV. They know how to do all this kind of stuff. But we are trying really hard to handhold that whole process, so that when they get out there and they put their name out there, which they've spent years and years building up, it's not going to screw them, right? It's going to be additive, not harmful.
Interesting. Can we touch a bit on the partnerships? I see you have a partnership with Radar. We can even see Kai brought that up. Encrypt your AOL with Radar.fun. What does that partnership look like? Can you maybe go into why you chose Radar? We've had them on the show. They're friends of the show. We like what they're doing. Maybe give us a quick little talking piece on that.
Yeah, so I got to be honest. We don't have an official partnership with Radar yet. We've been talking to them, and they have integrated our work. I think there's a good chance we're going to have a partnership with these guys. I like how they think. They were very proactive in the way that we were discussing things. I started in crypto in late 2012, right? So it's been a long time. I came in for cypherpunk reasons, and I like that kind of crap. Like that's just, I'm into that. Like, I don't think you should be tracked all the time. Like, that's not, I don't really love that, And so whenever Radar came along, and actually someone left a comment, they were like, "Hey dude, I'm an investor in AOL, but I want you to see this thing Radar because I think they might work." I'm like, "Okay, well maybe they'll hit us up and then we'll talk." 6 seconds later, Radar hits us up, and I'm like, "Okay, these guys are like on it." They're really on it. They're actually really hungry. I looked into their tech, I saw what they're doing, and I like the idea. They integrated us without us even asking them to. We're gonna have some chats and see what a partnership looks like. In terms of other partnerships, support, this kind of stuff, just to kind of go into a little bit of it. Like I said, we started off as the special and curated projects arm of the Bonk X World Liberty Fi X Radium thing. We want to do a lot more stuff than that, and so now we just a few weeks ago, one of my co-founders, Vesper, spoke at Met Dobby. She did a keynote there and announced that we've switched to Meteora from Radium.
Huge.
And so yes, okay, thank you, because we saw America.fun, and I'm like, what? Like, what is this? And then I was gonna ask about the Meteor tie-in. So please, yes.
Yeah, so we have a very, very close strategic collaboration with Meteora. We spent months working on this, and we have a deal together. There's a lot of support there. They're aware of what our roadmap looks like, and they're very, very supportive in helping us to get to that roadmap. It's expansive. It's big. I'm not gonna lie. Like in my past, in my Web 2 past, I've built and sold very large Web 2 tech companies, and so I'm not trying to build something little here. I want to build something big that actually matters, and they are in line with that. They're building something big, obviously. And so we have the Meteora partnership now, which is fantastic. Team is great. They're as helpful as you can be. I don't think I've ever worked with a group more helpful than them. We've gotten support in the sense of like retweets and comments and whatnot from Tali, from Solana. Solana Foundation sponsored a talk we did at Solana headquarters just about 4 weeks ago. We've gotten, just kind of, if you name it, we've gotten support from them from that side. What we haven't done yet is start to market, right? We haven't done that because we've been waiting on our V2 to come out. We've been working on the V2, getting the staking stuff done, getting it audited, getting all this kind of stuff finished so that we can actually go out to the masses and start to push and let people know what we're doing. Start talking about our roadmap, start talking about the next step of what America.fun is doing. And so now that we're there, we're single-digit days away from that launch. We figure, hey, it's worth chatting with folks like you guys.
So this means going forward, all your USD1 pairs will be on Meteora rather than Radium pools.
That's right.
Maybe they were in the past. Okay.
That's right.
How does Meteora stack up in terms of optionality? Obviously, we have friend of the show Kitty in here, who's part of the Meteora team, lead ICM run guy there. Give him some love, lead ICM guy there. Give him some love. But that being said, how does Meteora stack up to something like Radium in terms of communication, in terms of optionality, in terms of the tech stack? Maybe give us some ideas. Sure.
So on the comm side, I'm gonna do my best to be polite, but it's like it's night and day, honestly. It's really night and day. And I have no shade to throw with Radium dudes. They built great tech. I've used their stuff a number of times in the past. It's good stuff. They've been helpful in various different ways whenever we were working together in the early days. But on the comm side, it really is night and day. Like, we send a message literally at night or day into our group chat with Meteora, and minutes later someone's like, okay, yeah, we're on it. Yeah, we have a friend here. Yeah, we can connect you here. Yeah, let's help you out here. It's just so nice to be in an experience like that. And that's one of the big reasons we chose to switch over. It's like we can go, we can get partners, we can raise money, we can do this kind of things pretty easily at this point because we had already made hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And I have a decent background, but it's like we only want to work with people who are actually like really good folks who are good to us too, that are going to be there supporting us all the way through. And they've really, we basically took a leap of faith in some ways on them, but they've definitely fulfilled their side of it so far, which has been excellent. On the tech side, we would not have launched all of our prior stuff on Radium had it not been for the collaboration, the World Liberty Pi collab, kind of thing. Not because Radium Tech sucks. Like I'm not trying to say that, because actually it's very good, but it's just, it doesn't do some of the flexible things that we need to be done. And I have a lot of kind of unusual thoughts about how sniping should be combated against, how just a lot of different things like this. And I need to work with a team that's willing to flex with us and willing to build new stuff with us and willing to try some things out with us, take some risks. And the reception wasn't quite as well received on the other side previously. And so on that side, definitely we're making some headway. And then just on a personal basis, like I was a hyper aggressive Orca user back in the day, like doing loads and loads of LP on Orca, especially whenever Bonk first came out, because I bought $1 zillion of Bonk, and then scooched over to Radium for a long time. And then I found Meteora because a friend of mine told me about it. And then I LP the piss out of stuff on Meteora for forever now. And just because it's just a good user experience.
I love it. I want to talk a bit about great tech. Obviously, Meteor supports the show, so we couldn't be more thankful for them. But I actually do want to talk a bit about roadmap and maybe competition. Like, it seems very obvious that we have the push for USD1 from World Liberty Financial, which we know is heavily influenced by the Trump family. And it's just like there's a lot of trust and a lot of things that kind of come from that relationship. Maybe talk a little bit about competitors. Who else is doing USD1 coins? Are there any launch pads making the USD1 push? You guys are doing it on Solana, on Meteora, but maybe just give us an overview of that.
As of right now, we are the first and only one that is fully focused on USD1. There is no one else that I'm aware of on Solana anyway that is fully focused on USD1. Some people build it as a part of their business, right? So they have like a section that is for USD1. Bonk would be a good example of this. And by the way, I'm friends with Bonk. Nam and I are good buddies for a long time. I'm a huge holder of Bonk tokens. I'm not throwing a single ounce of shade at those guys, but their core business is not building USD1 stuff necessarily, right? Their core building business is to enhance Bonk, which is totally fair and totally reasonable. It's a Solana thing. Ours from the ground up, from day zero, from before we started building it all, was how do we expand the USD1 ecosystem? This is July, I'm talking about this, long before this meta came. How do we expand the USD1 ecosystem? How do we set it up to where that's going to work out? And as of right now, there's no one else out there doing the same thing, and probably because they're not thinking about it. Now maybe they are. Now that it's USD1 meta, people are probably thinking, oh shoot, let's go spin up a USD1 launch pad. Let's go focus on blah, blah, blah. But they're behind by 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, clearly USD1 is going to persist. They've made a ton of money from it. It's already, I think, if you look on CoinMarketCap, USD1's got to be up there as one of the top 100 tokens for sure. Maybe top 50, maybe top 25. I'm not exactly sure on that. But give me an idea on the team that you guys have here at AOL. You know, who does what? Who do you have? You obviously have relationships with the World Liberty Financial team. You have great relationships with Binance. You said you've had friends at Bonk. Maybe give us an idea of the team and how you guys are positioned to execute on this, because it's a big undertaking.
Yeah, it is a huge undertaking. So just starting off with myself, I've been building tech companies since starting in Silicon Valley in the 2009 arena. I've built a number of tech companies. I've sold a couple of them. They've all been, I mean, they've not all been good, but the ones that have been good have been good. The ones that suck, of course, they've died. But there have been a few that are really solid. I have a lot of experience building big companies or big-ish companies. And I have a lot of experience in crypto. I care a lot about the users, and I'm not like trying to make my first buck, right? And I think for me, that's important. Like when I'm investing in a company, when I look at who the founders are and what their motives are, what I'm always fearful of, especially in crypto, is, okay, when this guy makes his first $1 million, is he going to abandon the project? Is he going to leave? Like, are they going to be done now? Can they go buy the car? And like, you know what I'm saying? Like that stuff bugs me a lot, and it really scares me. And it happens all the time. You see someone does a raise, and then they get their earn out, and then, oh, I'm deciding to resign from my position now, blah, blah, blah. And then everything dies. And so on our side, we have pretty much a team that is situated in a way that's not really a concern. And that was important to me to have. On our team, we have myself, We have Vesper. Vesper is not a known entity, not Vesper, by the way, from Meteora, but a different Vesper. She's not a known entity publicly very well, but behind the scenes in a lot of different areas, people have known her for a few years to be building different projects. She did do a speech. You can go check it out, see her speak, and kind of get an idea for her vibe, her intelligence, this kind of thing. Oh, did you know it? Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So you can get her vibe there. She's great background. I'm not going to like say specific things about her background because it's going to dox part of who she is, and that's up to her to do. But really great background, big brain. We have Mezcal Pappy, who a lot of people in the base world would know. Pretty famous dude over there. Used to you used to work with those guys. He's doing a lot of the BD side of things. We have Banana, who Solana OGs would definitely know. He worked at a Solana for a while. He worked at several different kind of areas like that. In fact, the other day there was a tweet that came out, and someone said, "You're not going to be able to be taken seriously until you get some OGs like Blah and 0x Banana on your team." And I'm like, "Oh, what do you freaking know?" Like he's one of our developers. He's heading up on that side. We have Carr, who has actually, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what her kind of day job is, but she's very well connected with extraordinarily big company in the space. And we have several other people that are on the team that don't like their name to be talked about. So right now the team total, if we include everyone's, like 11-ish, I guess 10 or 11, somewhere in there.
It seems like you have like you just said, a pretty big and well-connected team. And I think that's one of the most important things, especially for launch pads. We see so many launch pads kind of die at the point where they stop getting, valid, good launches. And so it's important you have the team that has these connections, has these relationships to go and do that. When you think of from the BD perspective, what kind of business development are you doing and outreach are you doing to find these great deployers to come maybe on chain or just come and launch with USD1 and launch with America.fun more specifically?
We haven't needed to do a lot of reach out, to be honest. But we have done some specific reach out. But really, we haven't had to do a whole lot of that. Like there've been a good number of people. I mean, like I said, we had several hundred people apply to do the semi-created thing, and we've had God knows how many more than that say, "Hey, whenever your permission list comes live, we're going to go test this out and play with it." I think a lot of it is about having friends. I think a lot of it's going to be the novelty. People are just going to try and see, does it work? Does this actually make sense? Does it make sense to cost money on the front side? Does that result, in a better outcome for people? And we'll see. I'll tell you something interesting. And we just announced this a couple weeks ago, but not everyone saw it. So people were worried because we have America.fun and our token's AOL, right? So AOL, we're hearkening to the America Online days. And the idea with America Online is you have like one place that has lots of stuff going on. You have your chat, you have your email, you have your games, you have your news, you have everything in one spot. And everyone was like, "Aren't you worried that America Online is going to like sue you guys, or they're going to come at you for doing that kind of thing or whatever?" And I just want to say two things. One, we've been in communication with America Online since the beginning, and they're okay with everything we're doing. We have it written. We've like their legal department. We're all good to go on everything on that side. That's the first thing. The second thing is one of the executives at America Online from 1996 to 2003, Greg Concilio, who people might recognize. He was super hotshot executive back then. Then he became executive at Ticketmaster and so forth. He is actually an advisor of ours. We just announced that a couple of weeks ago. So he's an advisor. He helped Steve and the crew take AOL from virtually nobody to hundreds of millions of users. And he's someone who I lean on. He's building a product called Fiber, which is super freaking cool. You guys should check it out. Launching, I think, this or next month. And they're giving us he's giving us loads of advice on how to actually scale this thing the way we want to scale it. So some of the questions you ask now, like how do you get people to come on and do things, like we haven't had to worry about, but as we do get down the road and, maybe it's a little harder for us to get people to come in, if that happens, I'm not too worried about it with the network we're working with.
Wow. That's really impressive. I guess the question that I had was just more so around there's been this conversation about ownership and kind of like what makes tokens truly valuable. And I think it's really important, at least for me, to get your perspective on this, since you're building a launch pad. Like, what do you think about this conversation around like what gives tokens, value? I'm not sure if you've kind of been familiar with what's going on, or if you know about like, the things happening around like HNT, Jupe with the buybacks, Padre with the, with the acquisition,
MetaDAO, etc.
Ownership,
AXL, all that stuff. Just how are you thinking about that with respect to your Launchpad?
Yeah, so this isn't something I've kept up with specifically with H&T or with Jupiter, but it is a topic I've thought about for a number of years now. So whenever you ask that question, you mean what is the point of the token, like for people, or should people own equity as part of token ownership?
Just kind of your general thoughts on him. I think now it's really early in the conversation. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of skin the cat here.
Sure. So if you ever do like an angel deal with a crypto company, you usually get a document called a SAFE or a SAT. It's one of these two or both of them. And the SAFE, it ends with an E, obviously, that means equity. And the SAT ends with a T, it means tokens. And they're separate and apart typically because one of them represents something that's sort of public facing. It's like the stock, so to speak, but it's not per se the ownership of the equity in the company. This is something that came out from my memory from the XRP stuff back in 2016, 2017. They got sued at one point because Brad Garlinghouse was going to places and saying, hey, look, Ripple's doing a deal with this company, Ripple's doing a deal with that company. And everyone's like, but that means nothing to XRP because XRP does not benefit from Ripple, the company, doing deals with these people, right? So it was kind of misleading. And so people said, okay, well, then we should bifurcate. And we should say one thing is one thing, one thing is the other. Now, is that useful for consumers? It can be, but I think that you just need to be transparent about what exactly you're getting. So if you want equity in a business, what does that mean? Like, why do you want equity in the business? I think that's a good question to ask someone. A lot of people say they want it, but not a lot of people have a reason why. Like what generally people want to have is positive cash flow of some kind, whether it's now, later, or both, right? And so if equity in the business is what you have, but you don't have revenue shares, you don't have some way of actually extracting value from it, then having equity is completely useless because you only make money if they sell the business in that case. And a lot of companies, most companies don't get sold, even if they're extraordinarily profitable, they never get sold. And so you sit there, you're holding something quote unquote worth $1 million, but you can't do anything with it. And so I think that this is something that whenever people bug about, look, I want to own the company, I want to do this and that, I think it's totally okay. And I think that's like a perfectly rational thing to want to have, just in general. Of course, who doesn't want to own something? But you need to think, what are your actual goals here? Like would you trade that for the cash flows? And if not, maybe it makes more sense to own an LP share or own tokens that themselves get a revenue share. And so in our case with AOL token, we're trying to take that and basically say, look, if you stake your AOL, we are going to give back a load of our money to you, like because you're not an owner of the company per se, but you're the ones getting the upside of the company's success. And from my point of view, that's more likely to get people motivated to help promote and help get other people excited about our product. The fact that they are making money when we do well.
Last question on this: would you encourage, like projects that launch to kind of have a similar setup that AOL has, or like how are you thinking about that for them? Or are you advising them on any of that?
Yeah, so there's actually some tech on the side that we're trying to work on. Meteor has the thing called Alpha Vault. And basically it's, excuse me, and this is something I haven't talked about publicly on our side before, but I'll give you a little bit of roadmap here for part of it. But Alpha Vault is basically people can come in and put money into a project. It's almost like an ICO or an IPO kind of a situation where you are like an initial cake offering, like what Cake used to, I don't know if they still do it, what they used to do. And you get an allocation and you say, look, I'm going to deposit $4,000 and you're going to get the same price as everybody else. And so it's really just a raise at that point. It's a normal raise. And the companies then can say, look, what you're getting is you're getting tokens, or what you're getting is you're getting tokens plus equity, or you're getting access to the CEO's guest house, whatever it is you're getting. They can design that, and we would suggest what they do based upon that. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I told you I had a conversation with like a guy whose friend is doing a golf related, like they basically have like deals with a zillion golf courses and they do a bunch of stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I'm thinking through my head, well, if they do a launch, why wouldn't the situation be like, look, if you own a certain number of these tokens, you get access once a year to any one of our portfolio golf courses, right? If you're like a big golf fan. So not only do you get the revenue share, you get the, potentially the equity or whatever the case might be, but you get other perks as well. The thing with like, with Dream, the cartoon I was talking about earlier, one of the tokens that launched on us, I've been talking to the artist there and I said, hey man, what do you think about if someone I mean, of course, they can't own your IP. You're not going to do that. That's, artists never really do that. And they can't anyway, because then they won't get signed by Netflix or whoever. But what about if someone had 1% of your supply or a quarter of your percent of your supply and they burned it? Would you throw their PFP in one of your shows? Like just appear on like a picture in the background? Yeah, probably so, right? Like these are the kind of ideas that I think that you have to get a little bit outside the box and think about how to construct it for a specific team. But it's something that I think is actually really fun, and hopefully other companies take seriously so they can have more success.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from the questions about holder protections. You're in a space where you're competing with Pump, Bonk, Soar, MetaDAO, and we've seen a push, right? A lot of volumes kind of dried up from Pump and then maybe gone to MetaDAO or other platforms, push towards ownership and holder protection. When you have a permissionless launchpad, it seems like the $200 kind of filter you have here is going to help filter out some of the bad actors. But how do you, maybe you can't say the word guarantee, but essentially, how do you guarantee some protections to holders where someone's not just going to come on here and rug on the permissionless side as soon as they launch a token after extracting some fees?
Yeah, for sure. So first off, we can't guarantee it, right? There's no way of guaranteeing it. But what we can do is so we're going to have visuals, not on this initial one here in a few days, but we're working toward just having visuals that'll tell you, was it bundled? How was it done? What did those wallets look like? Because we can detect that crap. It's not terribly difficult to do. What do they look like? And people can start to track that kind of thing. Almost like you might see on some of the other software like Axiom or something like that, right? And so you say, oh, this is 6 to 9% bundle and this whatever. The thing is, I don't think that stuff's always bad to bundle, for example, but I think that users need to, they do have the right to know what the situation is. And so that's one thing. Two is on the tech side, we have some, I've told our dev team and we'll be hopefully working with Meteora on some of the ideas I have around how to protect this. And one of those is graduated release of tokens to the actual developers themselves. And so in the case that you do a launch, you don't actually get access to all of the tokens that you quote unquote buy in the beginning until or unless you've stayed around for a certain amount of time and you hit certain points in your prices. And so basically you have an incentive as a dev, if you actually want to get your pieces, to keep on going, keep on building, getting there. And then once you hit $1 million, bada bing, now you get another percentage you can unlock. Once you get $2 million, another percentage unlocks. And so you have there, in your case, the incentive to keep on going, which helps folks have a chance of winning.
Yeah, we've seen this model implemented actually. MetaDAO uses something similar where they have gradual unlocks at 2x ICO, 4x ICO, 8x, 12, 15, 34, and so on and so forth. And so, I think it is some level of incentive to keep these devs going, of course, because look at that supply. So it's interesting to hear how you guys are looking at it. I don't know. This is like a forever evolving sphere that we're in right now about what token holders should have, if buybacks are better, if equity is better, if, you get access to a membership to private golf courses, right? It's all up in the air. And I think the answer is maybe a little more nuanced where it's like, it's going to depend on what you're doing, what the project is, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just an interesting conversation. It's one we have to have, especially with a launch pad here. So maybe
we have a question from X. Happy Camper asks, what's the plan on ticker repetition?
Oh yeah, good question.
Yeah. So the ticker, you mean in terms of like unique tickers, right?
You can't do two of the same, right?
I don't know what he's meaning. Just he mentions repetition, so I was hoping you had
probably it means unique tickers. Yeah, this is actually what I was talking about earlier. So we had I hadn't seen it anywhere, and so in one of those part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 posts that I made on my Twitter, I said one thing we're going to do is we're going to have the one ticker policy. So you basically you can get Venezuela, right? That's okay. You can have money sign Venezuela, but if you don't graduate within a certain period of time, 6 hours in our case, you lose that official ticker. It goes back into the space.
This is kind of like hyper liquid, where it's like you bid on tickers, so it's kind of like domain names essentially. So one project can't have two projects can't have the same tickers. Is that what you're
That's right. There's only going to be one, and so you might have 38 different ones out there in the world. But the way you know if it's the real one is you go to our website, you paste into CA, and does it come up or does it not? Like, does it end in USA first off? And people can fake that, so that's not good enough. But if you copy it into our website, is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. That's the official one. That's the real one.
It's interesting. This is going to help I would imagine with vamping, we know vamping was a big thing on
Yep.
Pump, where you would have Elon Musk make a tweet and 20 people would go and launch the same token with the same name, and you would just basically have to gamble and throw your hope that the one that you bought graduates and goes crazy. In this case, you only have one. Like, it's the person that gets it first, and yeah,
Yep.
I think it's a good mechanism.
It's yes. It's really the idea. You know, so the idea here again, it's not going to be for everybody. Like, because you're gonna have people out there who do other things. But I'm hoping if we can basically just get people to try this out, if we can get like a month of people just testing it here and there, and the experience is meaningfully better, even 15% better than what they get elsewhere, it's going to start to be where users encourage devs to go. And so to your question earlier, how do you get devs? I'm hoping we kind of flip it around the other way. It's like, we'll work on the users. We'll make sure the users are safe and good. And hopefully they will demand the devs come and use something like this because it keeps them safer.
Cool. Let's touch on roadmap if you're open to it. What are you guys working on? You want to hear all the big plans.
Yeah, I can't talk about all the big plans, but I can tell you that the AOL staking is important. We are almost certain, we're kind of like finalizing some of it, to have some of the eco token staking as well. So people who've been supportive to us while we've been flopping around here for 3 months, people who have Burger, Patriot, Dream, and Valor are going to have the ability for a period of time to also participate in the LP revenues, and so that way we give back to the people who've been sticking with us in that way. But in terms of the actual product itself, we do have the future, more curated version. We're going to do KYC related things on that side to keep people a little bit safer. We have what can I talk about? I mean, I wish I could. I'll tell you in private, but we have a lot of people listening right now. There's
We'll say that for after the show.
There's some really freaking cool crap that we're building here, and any one of them working is going to be a bombshell, right? And so I like the way I see it. I have a thesis on what's going to work. People who found companies, they usually have a thesis on what's going to work. It's not always right? It's not always right. A lot of times you end up going off, and then Gmail was an accident, right? Like that was literally, like, AWS was an accident. And that's where most of the profit of Amazon comes from. These things were just things they were like, oh, let me just test this out and see if there's an audience, see if it makes sense. And boom, these become like core products that actually make a ton of sense. So we have a number of those that I think will do well, that I wonder if they'll do well. I wonder if they'll be well received or not. But we'll see. Maybe
let's ask it this way. We saw Believe, hit like a 300 mil market cap. There's obviously Pump is in the billions. Other launch pads are like Bonk is fairly highly valued. You guys are, 5 to 8 mil now. Congratulations on the recent price action.
Thank you.
But like, is that the play? Like, are you guys trying to be the next Pump here and like vertically integrate the stack from AMM to Launchpad to trading with what they got in Padre? Like, give us where you see yourselves.
Full ecosystem.
We're thinking, how should I say it? Yeah, like if you think about like what Pump's thoughts are, we don't have the same product motives as them. Like, I have no interest in streaming, for example, for various legal reasons and ethical reasons too, frankly. But if you think about the way that they're not just like one thing, they're building a whole bunch of crap. That's what we're doing too. Like, so you can say it's a vertical stack. We want this to be very similar to a situation with America Online back in the day. I'm really encouraged by the way they did stuff. I used to log in every effing day. You guys are too young. I don't think you ever did. But I used to log in every single day, and I would check my email, I'd play a game, I would read the news, I would browse the web, which was a little more filtered of a web, by the way. Just like we have a little more filtered probably of an experience on our side, but it was one that was better for most users. If you want to play games outside of it, you can do that, but otherwise not.
That was my generation of the internet, just to be clear. Some of us on stream are a little younger, but I got you.
Well, you get where I'm going at, right? That's what made people get online. It wasn't like PPP protocol on their Linux terminal. That's not what got the masses on the internet. What got the masses on the internet, there was a safe but fun experience they were having when they were getting on there. And so on this side of things, we want to do our part to help that happen, and we're going to build it around USD1 as the stable, and around AOL as the actual ecosystem token.
What's your revenue model here? Is it how many bips? Is it on graduations? Is it trading volume? Give us that breakdown. We see 75 million here in volume. What's the revenue model?
Yep. So I told you we made 750K, give or take, of LP fees on $75 million of volume. And so you see that's about what it boils down to. It's about 1% there that we end up, or like a 0.1 where it comes down to it. It's extremely low. We're putting almost all of the money back into the system, obviously. But the way we make money is really on some of the tertiary services that we haven't announced yet. And so when you do a launch, you're going to be able to do some extra stuff for some extra costs. And so we're talking to, I'm very good friends with a very big bridging company, for example. Wouldn't it be nice if you could launch on multiple chains at once? Well, there's a little bit of a cost associated with that process. Wouldn't it be nice if you could be verified, almost like a deck screener verification kind of a thing, to make sure that you're legitimate, you've gone through, you've done a certain thing. Well, there's a process there for that for us. And so that's mostly what it is. We're looking for volume, but good volume. Our future services, the ones that I can't talk about, the actual products, are where more of our, I would say, scale of cash for the company is going to come from. But in terms of scale for the token itself, for AOL, it's going to be the stuff I just talked about. And I think it should be significant. If you think about it, if we do 1,000 launches, which is like a small fraction of what get done every day, if we get 1,000 launches over the course of a week, that's $200,000 of revenue worth of AOL that we're getting in that case. $200,000 going into the AOL chart right now is very meaningful, and I don't want to talk about like where our prices are going and that kind of stuff, but I mean, it's extremely meaningful. And if that scales, it becomes significantly more meaningful for a while. Now there's a point where that's going to plateau at $200, $300, $400 million. It doesn't matter, right? We have to have other ways of making money because it's not going to offset, the whole thing. You see this with some of the other tokens out there, but in the early stages, this is what's going to matter, I think.
Can we talk a bit about burn rate too? And Chill, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
Could we talk a bit about burn rate? You have a
as well.
11-person team. Yeah. Are you guys good on capital? You made some money already. How much are you spending a month? Like, is it sustainable? Maybe just give us the high level overview of that.
Yep. We got plenty of capital. I don't take a salary. I mean, this is what I was saying earlier about it's good because we're situated mostly to not need to make money on the team. And so a few people are making money on the team, or taking money on the team, but for the most part, it's not necessary at this point. All the tokens that I own personally, which I own a ton of AOL token, I'm not gonna lie, all of it was bought on the open market at fair rates, not like at 150K. They're like 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 million whenever we had a run previously. This is all stuff I bought probably $1.2, $1.3 million worth of token myself. Other people on the team have also done the same. And so a lot of their upside is going to be on that kind of thing. The burn on our company right now is give or take, like as of last time I checked, which is a couple weeks ago, we're in the somewhere like 25K-ish a month range. So like quite low. And we have runway for about a year at that rate in terms of just cash sitting there, assuming we never make another penny on any kind of LP or anything else. But we also have, we turned away millions and millions of dollars that was offered to us to do this. And so this isn't something that, like, if we were to go and say, hey, look, we need to raise $1 million at 25 to build this thing out to give us another year. I'm 100% confident it gets closed that weekend if that's what we need.
Have you done raises before? Have you participated in funding rounds yourself?
I've participated in loads of funding rounds. My last company, Glue, we did the third. If you've never heard of it, probably because it was a little bit low key. It's still around, by the way. It's a chain, but we did a raise at $1.4 billion valuation was our peak on that side. I myself have participated in angel rounds, at least 60 of them in the Web 2 side, and probably an equivalent number on the Web 3 side. Wow. Over the course of the past 12, 13 years. Super familiar on that side.
This has been a fascinating conversation. Chill, I'm not sure if you had any closing thoughts, but we're coming up on an hour here and just wanted to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, no, I originally did have a question, and I've been trying to remember what it was, and unfortunately, my memory is failing me at this moment. So, but no, I really do love this conversation. I love what you guys are building. Oh, that's my question. Was launches. You mentioned earlier that there's a few hundred applications that you guys had. You even said, hey, look, you might not can get in with us, but you can launch when we go permissionless, and we can support you if it goes well. Are there any launches or any applicants that you're most excited about? Yeah, there's two. So one is a very, very cracked team that's done some big wins in the past. It's a meme, but they want to
be on day one coming out of our platform. They want to be one of the first, if not the first one, shooting off and doing really well. I'm excited about that one. I think people are, by performance, almost certainly people are going to see which one that is whenever it comes out here in a few days. But that one is I'm very excited about that. And then another one I'm very excited about is the one I was talking about earlier, which is affiliated with the political movement. And I can't say which one it is, but it's a very famous political movement that many companies and organizations have participated in. And it's something we've been talking to these guys for 3 months now, 3 or 4 months. And when the time is right, which hopefully is going to be here soon, we'll get that launched as well.
Got it. That's awesome. I mean, it's really good the way you have things set up. Like you said, you don't really have a need to do BD. A lot of that traffic is already coming your way. I think that's evident with what you guys have coming, with the excitement around what you guys have coming, and excited to kind of talk more with you guys, post stream, post interview, but definitely, really good conversation. Thank you guys so much for making the time to come on.
Thank you very much for having us on here. I really appreciate it, and thanks a lot to Kitty for introducing us. We hadn't chatted before. Yeah, we hadn't chatted before. We don't know each other yet. Now we do. Thank goodness. We'll keep in contact. But Kitty Count was like, "You got to talk to these guys. They're solid." And hopefully he said something the same to you. And here we are. So thank you so much.
Of course, high praise from the Meteora team for you guys as well. Maybe you call to action real quick before you leave. Ugo, where can people keep up with you guys? What should they do to get involved and follow what you guys are building, America.fun here?
Yeah, so America.fun is the website. We have a link tree that's on there somewhere that'll take you to TG and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. The Twitter itself though is twitter.com/ or X, my bad, X.com / America.fun. But you can find that on mine. You can find a link to it in my profile, which is at CRYPTO crypto GLE. My name's Ogle, and so it's CryptOgle.
Boom. There we go. We love it. We will continue this conversation. We're excited for what you got going on. Excited to hear more. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully we can have you guys back on in a month or two when some more development's been made and we can get into some of that alpha you were hinting at a bit today. So
I'm very excited.
Sweet. Thanks for chatting.
Thanks. Take care, bud.
Peace.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Yo,
wow, good chat.
I'm fired up about this.
I'm not gonna lie. This is
you got the Canadian fired up.
So
guys,
well.
Think about this. For Ugle to get the Canadian fired up about America.fun, that's got to be impactful. That's pretty impactful.
You zoom out and you just all the dots are connected here.
I mean, I think I'm not gonna lie. Like during this interview, I'm like, dude, I'm probably gonna do a write up on America.fun. I'm definitely gonna do a write up and on this protocol. But what gets me most excited is number one, you have the Meteora alignment, and we just highlighted our bull case on Meteora and how they'll be dominant in 2026. I think it's good to be aligned with them. Number one, we've heard time and time again, many projects that have come on here, kind of raving about how helpful Meteora, the team, has been building things out that are much needed, providing connections to people that help them to push the business forward. So I think that's really good to see that. Number one. Number two, you have USD1, the alignment there. I think that's really important. Obviously he's an advisor to World Liberty Fi, so there's that connection. But I really love what he said around you want to still play the game, but you want to be safe about it, right? And I guess that $200 kind of fee to launch, that's one way of doing it, because that's what they used to say about ETH. The ETH tards, they used to basically say that launching on Solana was too easy for scammers. Launching on ETH actually costs you something, so that's why there was less scamming on ETH. And so I think he is onto something with that. Those additional kind of services that he has on building on top of that, I think that's really good as well. So I think I love the direction in terms of providing a safer environment for speculators to speculate, because they will, right? Like people are still trading on Pump Fund. People are still, they might not be as many as there was before, but degens will degen. We know that this is crypto, but giving them a safer place to do it, I think he's right. The users will demand more. We already are. We went from inflationary models to now talking about ownership. We went from praising people like Aave and Uniswap to now questioning, hey, like, is your token really worth something? Right. So there is this kind of demand from users to ask a much more important question of teams and projects and token projects. And I think what he's doing, really aligns with the direction that the market is going. And I think ultimately users will demand more, and that will elevate the standard
So was
of
the
tokens.
AOL token launched on Bonk then as a fair launch? And
This
this
is a
guy's come
Radium.
along and just said that he bought like 1 million of his own supply. And what I mean, this guy, Ogle came on and said he bought 1 million of his own supply plus.
Yeah, so it looks like they do have a Meteora pool here, but I think, yes, it was launched on Radium originally via Bonk, I would imagine. And they've since transitioned over to Meteora more so as a partnership, and they have a pool there too. But yeah, conviction
And
there.
he's kind of the tie-in to World Liberty Financial, which they're kind of like a DeFi development shop in some ways, or a DeFi development lab. USD1 is a core one of their products that's coming on to Solana, and everyone's talking about this USD1 season. But beyond that, there's no like direct connection to, let's say, the Trump family or anything, other than they are backers of World Liberty Financial.
Yeah, which I think is a pretty big connection, right? I think
like
USD1 as a token, as a stable coin, when you go to compare stable coins, what do they have is like assets backing them? Is it back pegged to the dollar? Is it pegged to T-bonds, T-bills? Is it pegged to silver, gold? Like, what is the asset backing the stable coin? I think in this case, for USD1, I'm sure that they have a whole bunch of stuff. I haven't looked into it enough, but it doesn't really matter. They have the Trump name behind it, I think, is like the biggest selling factor for USD1, and World Liberty Financial as a suite of products as well. But it's interesting that no one's really exploring this USD1 centric launchpad. And I think America.Fund's like been able to carve out a good niche there. And I don't know. It's cool. It's an interesting conversation. But I think the big thing about USD1 is that Trump family backing, which is going to just naturally make it one of the go-to stable coins. Like, it's undeniable. What is it ranked on Coin Market Cap right now? Do we know?
Let me see. I can check. And while I check, I'll say this as well. I really love the direction that USD1 is going in, and I'll tell you why. They came on, and because they're the Trump family, like backed by the Trump family, obviously they knew about the stablecoin bill that will be coming out, and how that will be pushed, and things of that nature. So I think they worked early to position themselves, and now they're kind of reaping the benefits. USD1 looks like it's top 50 in the space, from what I'm seeing, 47. I don't know if I'm right there, Josh.
33.
Yeah,
33.
Oh, 33. Oh, I'm on CoinGecko.
In terms of market cap. Oh, a little bit of a difference there. I don't know. Either way, top 50 is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
We just got
I love their direction, honestly.
We just got the follow from Greg Consiglo on X. And he actually had this to say. I'm going to read through this tweet because I think this is definitely talking about AOL. All right. My on thing.
Here, Paulo says USD1 backed by USD. That makes sense. Yeah. So it's a
100%
direct peg.
Okay. So the launch pads that win long term, not just launch tokens, launch critical part of the stack for any token. There will be much bigger opportunity for these services to evolve into horizontally integrated ecosystems. That was what I took away from most of this conversation, was just a lot of the different components of what makes these launches successful, and then building that in. It's the infrastructure for everything that happens afterwards, with multiple technology and liquidity providers across commerce, rewards, identity, a stack that works across chain, data that AI agents can actually use. Oh, interesting. We saw evolution. I don't know. This guy is pretty legit. Sorry for pulling that off. I meant to click a different button, but.
And I will say that USD1 trading volume is actually going like kind of nuts right now. Let me share my screen real quick. And here it is.
And Paula, quick answer to your question. What are your X handles? They are in the bio of MCG. You can find them all at the bottom. You see
Chill TRD.
Chill TRD. Dinero Dom 0.
Mint_Josh for the Y.
There you go.
Bang, bang, bang. The whole lineup. Appreciate you. Yeah, so here's the USD1 trading volume according to Stockchain. So obviously it's picking up because of the memes, etc. Here's you've seen me talk about USD1 memes, not just yesterday or the day before. I've been talking about USD1 memes for like maybe a week or two now. And that's because I kind of noticed this shift happening. Just like Solana used meme coins to attract degens are free game, guys. The space has recognized that degens are free game. They will come to the place with the most volume, with the most hype, with the most, runners on chain, if you will. And Solana did that early on. Pump Fund did that as well. And now you have USD1 kind of attracting that crowd as well. And they're kind of using memes to build that hype. But obviously, I think that there's going to be a good chance of sustaining this volume because, again, they're spending over 130 million, so quote unquote supporting the ecosystem. Not really sure exactly what that means, but I mean, that's a lot of money to throw at, whether it is tokens, marketing, or what have you, attracting good teams to the ecosystem or what have you. So, I think USD1 is something definitely worth paying attention to, and I'll be doing a full kind of thesis. My thesis is mostly around the $130 million injection, but I think there's a much larger piece to look at when it comes to USD1, the yield generating stablecoin itself that can potentially be pushed by a powerful family in the US.
Boom. I
love it. I love it. There's something here. There's something here, guys. There's something's afoot, guys. Something's afoot.
Dude, yeah, I love when Josh gets hype. I love your reactions.
Oh my goodness. When we saw them on stage, we saw Vesper. I would have loved to have bid this at $3 million, but here we are at 8 million. I'm like, man, this still has so much upside. I think the $200 fee is the crux, right? You can get successful deployers that they can make a bit of money over that $200 fee. It'll attract a bunch of people. If traders sense that they have higher win rates, and that's the key, it will attract trading volume. That attracts deployers, which attracts revenue, which just, I
just think it's a really,
I
think it's a really good thing that, USD1 is attracting a lot of memes. But the space obviously wants something more than that. And I think it's good that there's just a central place for quote unquote utility, more serious teams, more serious tokens that they can flock to, and all that value will accrue to AOL and by extension the MET token as well. So look,
it's always nice to see a launch pad that's not just, hey, I'm a new launch pad, we're gonna launch memes, we're gonna compete with Bonk and Pump. It's like, well, no, we have a niche and we're gonna fully work to grow the USD1 ecosystem, and we want to be this like a big proprietor of the launches that come through it. And I think it's
so Meteor launch ecosystem has token anchored equity with Street. We have debt DRP with SOAR. We have ownership tokens with MetaDAO. Now we have a meme launch pad that's very US centric and aligned. This is Meteor season, boys. I think this is Meteor season.
Nonetheless, speaking of Meteor season, I guess then I can maybe switch the mode a little bit to some last minute stuff I want to talk about. We got a Ranger ICO coming up who will be coming on our show the final day of the ICO to kind of wrap up. We'll see what they're doing. But Jussie, another good one to follow, had a nice write up on the Ranger ICO and what to expect. So maybe read through that. This is the newest MetaDAO incubated project or curated project, I guess you could call it on MetaDAO. And so here's an overview. It starts January 6th, it ends January 10th. It's hosted by MetaDAO. They are targeting a $6 million raise with a max of $8 million. It's exactly what Solomon did, I believe. So it's nice to know they will take max up to 8 million. I think this is one of the news things on MetaDAO. Earlier, when we had like Umbra, who had $150 million in commits, we saw some really big commits. No one knew how much they were going to take, right? So you actually had the risk that, hey, maybe I'll take $150 million. And then the starting market cap is much higher. Here you actually have, okay, guys, max we will take is 8 million. I think Solomon did something very similar with that. They'll have a buy wall, so downside protection. I got to read more into that, but based on how much they raise, I think if they hit the 8 million, and don't quote me, yeah, oh, here we go. It's right below it. I'm an idiot. Funding accepted is 8 million with minimum 6 million raise. The extra 2 million above the minimum raise is allocated towards the buy wall, which I thought this was an interesting tactic. We see Loyal from MetaDAO doing that right now with extra money they had in their treasury, and I'll put it there. And it has managed to hold a pretty nice floor despite not much volume. But you can see right here, this is the buy wall for Loyal. They said, hey, as long as price goes under that 0.25 or whatever the number was, 0.23, we will use spare liquidity until a certain date to buy that up to that level. And they've been doing that. So interesting. We're seeing something similar now on the ICO for Ranger. So buy wall equals downside protection together with the preset LP structure and used to support the market during the first 90 days. ICO pool is 10 million Ranger, 40% of supply. Total supply, 25.62 million. ICO token is 39%, 100% unlock at TGE. There's 11.3% in liquidity locked in the AMMs, which is a Meteor plus the food target AMMs. Investors, 17% with a 24-month linear vesting. So that's on top of the 40% it looks like they're going to use for the ICO. And then the 30% for the team. Performance-based unlocks, 2x to 32x. Similar to what we talked about with America.Fun today, where, hey, guys, we only get these unlocks as price hits these certain milestones, right? So which starts at a 2x and goes all the way up to 32x. They have an ambassador program, 3%, which is 50% TG unlocks, rest over 6 months. Maybe MCG can tap into that. Who knows? And then they have the Ranger points, guaranteed access for ICO, used to allocate a separate pool for early contributors to help small users get fair allocations versus whales, and the rest will go back towards the public pool. This is interesting. This has been an issue with MetaDAO where people say, hey, it's just a whale game. These whales with $1 million, they're only going to get filled on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% of that based on how high the raise goes. So they go and put, instead of $100,000 in, they go and put $1 million in, expecting only 10% fill, right? To get the full fill they want. So this is an interesting way. They're having Ranger points, which is guaranteed access for ICO, which I think they're going to be using to build a community of those people that maybe don't have that size to play these whale games. It also solves the MetaDAO oversubscription problem, which is exactly what I was saying. So interesting. Interesting stuff there. That was a good write-up from Jussie.
Can I also, I know you guys know that I've been kind of experimenting with prediction markets. And I'll share my screen, but there's a few markets open around the total commits. Oh, yeah. The real estate.
We'll
you can cover that first, actually. Okay.
No. Total commits is a cool topic.
So you basically have total commits for the Ranger public sale on MetaDAO. Here's the reason why I'm mentioning this. You guys know the strategy that we use around MetaDAO launches. We don't buy the sale. We buy the pullback after launch. And every launch has pulled back from Avicii to Solo to Umbra to you name it, right? After the sale, there's a dip after launch. That's the one that you buy, and then if you have the patience, you'll likely see new highs if you're buying a good project. So I guess the question is, what could potentially provide some good returns, but you still get exposure to the sale itself? A prediction market. And I'm really like this is really opening up a much different kind of way to trade. You can even you like trading around these prices. Like there's no liquidation, right? It's like leverage on an outcome. And with these raises, these things resolve pretty well. So total commits for the Ranger public sale, most people basically right now think they'll raise more than 20 mil. not many people are expecting them to raise more than 80 mil. After 80 mil, kind of drops off. Not many people expecting. And what I like to do on these poly market trades is kind of look for asymmetric bets. So, you know, sub 10 cents buys, and you know, something that you can write up. But prediction markets can give you 50 to 100x gains on your buys in relatively short period of time, in a relatively short period of time. If you search, so this is one of the trades that I was in, is the Tim Walz will resign. I got into this a few weeks ago, and that's one of the trades that has just absolutely printed. If you
got into this before the Nick Shirley thing or post Nick Shirley expose? Minnesota.
Pre.
Wow, good for you.
Because I'm like, it's very likely that this story kind of blows up. I'm looking at, you know, people getting angry, the press coming after him. I'm seeing, you know, Elon Musk really push this narrative on his timeline. And so I'm like, well, you know, it seems like at some point, and I would say even now, this is at a nice level, right? Like, if you think that
when did you take here before 2027? What's your timeline on this?
I did well, it was there were three. It was December 31st, January 31st, and then June. This before 2027 is new. So I was on December 21st and December 31st where the odds went up. But I also got into this January 31st. As you can see down here, it was at 1.2%. This was early January. Yeah, early Jan. And right after the Nick Shirley stuff blew up, this 8x.
Oh, wow. So if you get a 1% to an 8%, that's an 8x. Yeah.
That's an 8x.
Okay.
So when you find
like on this,
like liquidity on the 31st one was actually a lot better. I don't use Polymarket as often. I use another terminal that has prediction markets built in that tells me liquidity and stuff like that. But I don't know where that is on the Polymarket app itself, but I'm farming.
Tim Walz needs to resign. This whole thing with Nick Shirley and the daycares is a massive thing.
Some prediction market alpha for you guys. Did you hear about how he dropped out of the race?
Oh, yeah, interesting. Okay.
So he dropped out of the race. That means he's already conceding his position. He's already saying, all right, I'm willing to do something publicly to make people calm down.
Yeah. And look, you guys don't have kids in daycare, but I can tell you, I have an app where they send me 3 pictures a day of my kids playing with blocks and doing various things. It would be simple. Like these daycares in 1 hour, less than that on an audit could publicly prove that they actually have kids there by just opening up the app, blurring the faces of the kids and saying, look, we have kids here every single day. Here's the proof.
Oh, I mean, it's jokes.
The fact that they haven't done that is easily the criminality that we need to know. In my opinion.
So, I don't know. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge on that here on stream, but I just know that having kids in daycare, like, yes.
It's so funny though. Did you see the interview of the Leering Center? The son of the owner of the Child Leering Center came out in chrome hard glasses talking about, man, it was so unfortunate. The other day, someone robbed our daycare and shredded all of our files, all of the documents we had. It's like, right. My dog ate my homework type of excuse there. No one's robbing you and then like shredding your personal documents. Like, come on, guy. But it was so funny. Wearing the chrome hard glasses, $400 glasses, dude's just like a joke.
And so, like, if you guys really believe that this is a story that will accelerate in January, which I believe it is, he's already had to address it publicly, and that's because of the attention that it's garnered. I think this Nick Shirley thing got like 150 million views on Twitter. So it's obviously
on Twitter of all time.
Oh, dang. I did not know that.
Really?
Wow. I did not know that.
By like a good bit.
So with that said, this is even at 4 cents is still at a great level, because if you look, this pulled all the way back, it's come down, and now we just got word that oh wow, it's at 1.8 cents right now. I actually might buy this when we get off stream. But this, like, again, like when you get these things sub 10 cents, sub 5 cents, they can hit multiples very, very quickly. It's all about like information flow and sentiment. I'm still learning the market, but I'm really loving like the opportunities that it gives you to have.
January is just so soon. Even if this does blow up and Tim Waltz is like forced out, does he leave before January?
And that's the thing. You don't need the market resolution. You just need people to believe, right? So, for example, the Bitcoin markets here, if you notice this, Bitcoin will hit, what will Bitcoin hit in 2026, right? If you were to look at this set of outcomes last year when we were at sub 90K or sub 80K, there were some of the opportunities on here where it's absolutely insane because of just the sentiment. You don't need you don't even need it to resolve. Just like it didn't resolve here. I just got the trade. Here, and it just did from 1.1%. I was in 1.3, 1.3 to 8, almost 9%. You don't even need the market to resolve, and you can get 10x. So it doesn't even matter if it happens by the 31st or not. What matters is, do people believe? Are people willing to buy into that
narrative.
That outcome? Yeah, that narrative. So yeah, loving prediction markets, fellas. More to come.
On the same note, Parcel, one I was very excited for back in the day, has a token tradable on Coinbase, but they have, they track all sorts of different metrics to get home prices and fluctuation of prices in real estate. It's actually a really cool API they have and what they do. But they've partnered up with Poly Markets to advance prediction markets for real estate. So here, housing prediction markets require a different standard of data, real-time, settlement grade, independently verifiable. That's the standard we've been building at Parcel Labs for the past 5 years. Again, a Parcel is a really cool project. Their token's gone to nothing. I got a fat airdrop from it, which I've since sold all of a while ago. But yeah, this is pretty cool. We're going to have prediction markets on real estate prices, which I don't know. I just felt like mentioning. It's interesting development. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but what do you guys think about I mean, you can now bet. I guess it makes it accessible for people that don't have enough money to get into, commercial or residential real estate or apartments or whatever it might be, to actually get some sort of upside if they do believe real estate's going to increase or decrease in a certain place. What do you think? Any thoughts?
Honestly, I think this is just the beginning.
That's the dumbest shit. I don't know if I'm fully sold on it.
Top Fumbler, hear me out. So let me show you. There's an account that you guys should follow. It's called The Narrator. His name is Good, but he talks about prediction markets quite a bit. And basically what he talks about is just how prediction markets will basically eat everything. And so, maybe it's real estate today, but it's going to be every sector. Like every sector will have prediction markets around it. And he describes it as perps for normies, which, or I should say options for normal people, right? And it's just about, again, is someone willing to buy into a narrative? So I think it sounds stupid now. But just like I could bet on low, I can buy at the lows in late 2025 when Bitcoin's price action is low. If I think Bitcoin is going to hit a new all-time high in 2026, but no one else thinks that, I'm basically buying at the very, very bottom. So I'm buying, maybe 2-3 cents for an option, right? And that, as price climbs higher in 2026 and my thesis plays out, that will go from 2 to 3 cents to like 50 or 60 cents odds in 2026. So it's no different. That will play out for the housing market. That, that's playing out for sports, but that's also going to, there's going to be prediction markets around the tech sector, around IPOs. Like there's going to be everything that's going to be coming onto prediction markets. So I think it might sound stupid, but I think when in its final form, we're seeing it in the early days, in its final form, it's going to make a lot of sense.
Yep. Lots going on with prediction markets. I don't know. I think I covered most of the stuff I was really looking at. We covered Venezuela, we covered America.fun, we covered USD1, we covered prediction markets. Today, I think was a pretty packed day. Do you guys want to go through some charts? We covered some pretty good charts already. I'm not sure. What
maybe, yeah, let's do a quick Pay AI, Moby. We did Umbra Solo already. Maybe Avicii as well.
Yeah.
And then any tickers, guys, if you got tickers, drop them in the comments real quick. I know someone mentioned Orgo at some point. I actually wanted, Orgo had a thing that I want to touch on before we hop off here.
Okay, cool. So here's Avicii. Let's see here. So there was some news that came out earlier around Avicii, I believe, something that Rand had put out. It doesn't seem like price is reacting to it as much. I think this remains to be like a nice accumulation area if you're thinking more of a long-term bid. If you look at this, the Revolut is actually shutting down in Europe.
Dude.
So
Europe
is cooked.
These regulations are cooked, dude.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how people are like, we see it. Obviously, all we're seeing is what we see online, but I'm just like, dang, like, how are y'all doing over there? Y'all good?
Yeah, that's maybe we'll do some market research here. Is anyone from Europe like happy right now?
Yeah. If you're in chat, you're from Europe, let us know how you're feeling.
Are you?
I know a few people in Europe, they're not doing so hot.
Migrate maxing right now, planning to.
Europe suffers from the same problems Canada does politically. It's just entrenched bureaucracy that just can't let go and is afraid of their own image.
Unfortunately, that is the case. But yeah, so Europe is basically advertising for the need for a neobank like Avicii. So the good thing is Avicii is permissionless. It can't be shut down, type of thing. So the markets though didn't really react to this news. I think there was some other news that came out on Avicii, but I'm not 100% sure of what it was. I didn't have a lot of time to put everything together, but at the same time, yeah, price isn't reacting just yet.
I have a little take on Avicii. I think more generally with neobanks, and we had some interesting conversations. Josh, I'm sure, knows what I'm referencing here. But these neobanks aren't very difficult to build. It just takes time to apply for licensing, but anyone can apply for these licenses and get them. I think what makes Avicii interesting, or any neobank interesting, is not just the ability to withdraw money, or it's a lot of the features that come with it, right? Avicii's talked about this social credit score that they plan to implement, or on-chain credit score, I think it is, along with some other like interesting features where you can get maybe on-chain financing, or like just cool things that we haven't seen yet. The easy part for neobanks is setting up the relationships to have the license and then have a provider. All they are is a provider, and then they have a license, and they basically route between these two things. And it's not very difficult. Josh, maybe you can speak on this a little bit more, but the business itself is not very hard to get into. The biggest indicators of a successful neobank are the numbers ramping up. We saw Avicii's numbers hockey sticking, which gave a lot of people hope. And then I think these other features, these DeFi features and other banking features outside of just the simple send money here, I can transfer it, I can take it out, I can take it into my bank account, etc. I explained that pretty poorly, I think, but
no, I think you actually summed that up very well. I think the common misconception people think is that these are actual banks, and that's not true. They're more of like front ends to banking licenses and infrastructure that's provided by someone else, and they will not get those licensing and infrastructure because that's a very entrenched industry. However, the big play here is that the rules have kind of loosened up and allowed them to come through and be kind of like customer front ends. Now, Avicii specifically said that they wanted to create like a global reserve currency. Was that do you remember that from one of the
I don't remember
things?
That specifically.
I kind of hope that they just kind of, that's a much more larger, that's a much, that kind of puts you at risk for other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I mean, I think that's a much further thing in the future. Basically, what came out today was RAM put out an article basically stating that, you know, based on certain mile cap, certain market cap milestones, that they'll basically, like, you know, pay the team type of thing. So I think that's the other thing, you know, market's not really like reacting to it as, you know, as anything, but I think that, you know, it's still a good long-term bet, still a good bet for like the overall 2026. So that's Avicii. Let's look at, did you hear about DCloud by any chance, Dom?
Do we want to look at machines real quick too? Because Spill said something. I've been hearing about people compare DCloud. Like DCloud is greater than CLED. I haven't looked into it. I think a lot of that's just, as soon as I start seeing comparisons, I automatically make myself bearish. It's like, no, I don't want to compare. Do your own thing. Be your own person. What makes you separate, different? No, I don't know. Tell me about it. I actually am interested, but all I've ever seen is the comparisons of, hey, DCloud's better than CLED. DCloud's.
I honestly have not looked into it at all. There was I think Dapo posted about it. I think he posted, he did like a brief small write-up on it. Let me just look at the chart here real quick. I think it looks better on like the hour, because I think it's just like a recent launch. But like I need to get like the full thesis on this, to, if you're going to compare it to something like CLED. CLED is, you know, CLED is pretty good. But here's what Dapo says. Dapo says, you know, he prefers, you know, DCloud over CLED due to the revenue and the model training mechanics. He said DCloud is the middleman and seamlessly facilitates a transaction between the requester, person who needs data to train their AI models, and contributor, person who provides the data, us. All of this is done privately, and the mechanic is scalable. The mechanics are scalable. As GPU becomes more expensive, solutions like DCloud are a no-brainer. There's no inflation. The contributor is paid in soul by the requester. The biggest risk here is execution risk. I think good marketing minimizes this significantly if the dev stays motivated. I think I don't like this. I've been on this kind of wave lately. I don't like utility right now if it's launched anywhere outside of, you know, SOAR, MetaDAO, Street. Like I'm not really buying a token, because it's a handshake deal with the team. Like I don't know what their intentions are. They might say what they are now, but who's to say? Who's
and the crux of this like whole data cloud thing is the relationships with who's buying the data, and I don't think you compete with Avi Patel on that.
That's why the statement doesn't make sense.
It does. You don't have like when you say the biggest risk is execution, and I think good marketing would solve it. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not convinced.
Dapo's a friend of the show. I don't know if I like that take.
Yeah.
That being said, though,
and not hammering on Dapo, like just of course. You know, we're CLED, we're CLED fans. I've seen Avi execute, and I think it's just you go with the execution.
Yeah. I don't doubt the degens can run this up too, but what I've seen is some of these projects that actually look really, really well. Like maybe the dev has good intentions, etc. They would run from like, you know, sub 50K, and they'd run to like, you know, maybe $1 million, 1.5 mil.
Guys, and again, DCloud's is sub 200K. Like this is a micro cap. So again, we are comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah. So let's get off of that. Anywho, let's get off of that.
Actually, DLMM, pull this up. This is done actually quite well.
This is a personal favorite of mine. DLMM has been in a range for a long time. It's held the lows, and I'm gonna show you guys because I've had this. I've had it charted out on my. Say that again.
This has been one of the few that's held very solid. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I've had it charted out on my terminal, but I'll show you guys what I have charted out real quick, chat. Here's what I got charted out. We got that big old, you know, got that big pump, but what we have here are, you know, kind of lows that are holding. I think this is the range. There's a range that I had mapped out somewhere. I think this was like the range. I think this is the range that I have mapped out on my terminal. I have to look again at Padre to see what I have. But this is the kind of range it's been. Nice consolidation, accumulation happening down here at the lows. If you watched our Break Bones interview from, I believe it was just a little over a month ago, this is one of the few micro caps that he's actually bullish on. He's been watching the reports. I think Slabs has also been pretty, he's been pretty vocal about their progress, what they're doing. And there's a lot of supply coming off the market. They're not slowing down. Like, I think this is something personally that, you know, I'd even say MCG should have exposure to with our treasury, but, you know, definitely one that I have exposure to myself. And I think, you know, this is one of the few micro caps that I hold that, you know, this is all about DLMMing, and I don't know, like, I'm not doing that myself, but they're doing it for you. And I believe they were going cross chain as well, partnering with a cross chain DLMM platform from what I remember, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I love DLMM just because of the deflationary pressure that the profits used to buy out the token can have. And at such a low market cap, that's going to be very, very meaningful when this thing actually gets some demand. Markets, you know, kind of shift and gain some momentum.
Yeah, I mean, they're burning every day. I think I saw they've already burned over like 15% of supply.
Yep.
Based on recent reports, market cap is what's current market cap right now on your screen?
Just under 400.
Okay.
Just under 400K.
So back when Bones made this write up, he said they had about 100K in the treasury, about 65K liquidity. 1/3 of the entire market cap is already backed by real assets. That's extremely uncommon in crypto. Yeah, I don't know. They're doing well. They're making money every day, and they're doing it consistently. They have a few different strategies of doing so. DLM generated 9.4K in yield, or 112K annualized at a 280 to 300K market cap. That implies a PE ratio. We've been talking about PEs quite a bit, but he just gives the whole thesis on why this price to earnings is very low here and how they, you know, they've burnt a lot of supply. They have a good treasury going on, and they continue to make money and continue to burn every single day. So yeah, DLM's it's a good one to watch, and that's one of the nicer charts. Yep. Do you guys
really
want
to
look at the machines charts? I don't know much about it, Spill. I don't have.
I'm not bullish on machines. I'm not even gonna lie. Actually, all right. You want to go on base? Let me share you something. Let me share something.
I've seen was it Decentralize or Die, or I forget who. Someone's been, or Shark Society. I think it's Shark Society has been shilling machines quite a bit, but I haven't really done a deep dive.
I'm not bullish. I'm not bullish right now. I would say it needs more of a narrative tailwind to really pick up itself. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm fully convinced on machines. They even when the narrative was in its favor, it wasn't really performing well. So, you know, not to say that the project is bad or anything, I'm just looking at the fact of the market reaction and how it reacted to, you know, what was said. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, I've been shouting out. I just used Jussie as the ranger. So he's been putting out good information. I do think this guy's getting paid to shill a lot recently. So just sorry. I'm seeing him post. I'm just saying take that with a grain of salt here.
Who's that?
I'm sure he's getting paid. Jussie. JUSSY. I just sent a tweet in private if you want to pull that up. It's Tolly's, I don't know, I wouldn't say endorsing, but Tolly's mentioning a new project. I think the last one we did that was Griffane, is what I remember. And we know that was one of Chill's best trades this cycle, one of my best trades this cycle. Ran up from 4 to nearly 400 million.
And loading.
Yeah, Repo's looking really good. Repo's legit, man. Like in that chart, that's for sure. How do you guys feel about the new stream layout, dude? I think it looks great. We got to tweak it up. It seems like sometimes some things are getting in the way of other things, but new stream layout's looking pretty sick. Maybe slow down the sponsor bar at the top.
Yeah, it's looking good. I like it. Some optimizations, but just a new fresh feel.
Yep.
But how about the MCG studio? I mean, that's banging.
It's banging.
I'm not gonna lie. I love the lighting. I love the background. It's looking good. This is all right, bro. Like, this is the tweet. However, I didn't like this.
Alpha Seeker.
Yeah, I did not like that. Last time I saw Totally endorsing a project was Grafane. I saw that running from 4 million. Okay, I'll add a little bit of caveat to. I'll push back a little bit on this. There's been many projects that Totally has mentioned since Grafane that haven't really, he's soft shielded some, he's hard shielded some. Like I would say, what you saw with Grafane was not Totally shilling power. It was a combination of Totally shilling power and the market narrative being around AI. What I'm waiting on,
Seeker was shilling too. It was just the shill. It was the shill.
yeah. And I think here's the thing, like I need to see a narrative form in this market before like I really start, getting super, super active. I am trading some things, you know what I'm saying? Like, we call repo, that was nice. Fumble predict at 100K. Oh, oof, tough. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things go at the market. But I'm not really like, trying to actively bid something in the trenches right now, especially if I don't know. I'm more so trading memes now than anything. I got a couple USD1 memes that have been performing absolutely banger.
Guys,
but other than that, like
pull up infra. Pull up infra.
Oh my god.
Infra boy.
Dude, I'm scared.
Infra's always just ripping. I don't know why.
Oh
Every
God.
time I look at this chart, it is higher, and I'm not understanding what is
going
on.
It's at 4 million now.
Bro.
Wow.
I told you guys, bro, like
look at the volume, bro.
There's
2.86K.
there's this YouTuber that I know. There's this YouTube, not that I know, that I watch. This YouTuber, he was bullish on infra from like literally back here in November when it was just like bleeding. And I was like, he's bullish on like, I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about, but apparently like a lot of people are bullish on the dev and stuff like that. So I don't really know, man. I don't know why this thing is going up, but I do think number one, it's heavy supply control. And I think two, people just aren't willing to, sell any. I guess it's.
I mean, this thing must have control. Like 90% supply control. There's zero sellers. Yeah. You can tell there's 2.86K volume, so no one's selling. I don't know what the heck's going on here.
Yeah.
It's not organic. Yeah, it's not organic. Hey, look, you can be bullish supply controls. So like that's not always inherently a bad thing. In this case,
and I will say that too. I'll agree on that. A lot of people might push back and say, "Oh no, like AOL, the Cryptogle, he was saying how supply control can actually be a good thing. Like bundles can be a good thing. It can be in the hands of the right people. Like I don't know if you guys heard, but Pepe token, Pepe was 30%, was bundled at the beginning, but the holders held. It was on ETH. Yeah, there's plenty of examples. But yeah, looking good though. But I don't want to stretch this out, guys. I don't know how you guys are feeling. Yo, I'm the one fumbling stuff. Don't take my job. That's crazy. Ownership season could be AI season on crack. Yeah, definitely ecom.guru. I think so as well. King's mentality, bro. Good seeing you again. Super consistent on the shows. But yeah, I don't want to
schedule. Talk schedule and wrap it there. Market's looking good. I think we're leaving on a good note here, and it was a good stream.
Let me go ahead and pull up the schedule real quick. Loading.
Chill's lagging.
All right, South Florida.
Loading. Break. All right. Almost there. Dude, where is the schedule?
This guy opens one extra tab and just melts his machine.
Let's see. Maybe I can find it. Let's see if I can find it before it show. Here we go.
All right. 2026. Welcome. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, brother.
All right, perfect. So yeah, today we had AOL America.fun coming on. We'll reschedule Zero Delta. I believe that's coming up next week, but we'll confirm. So you want to follow the MCG account at MCG Live. Turn on notifications to be notified of when we go live and also when we post these schedules. Tomorrow, we have a banger stream coming up with CPT. Friends of the show, Patrick, he'll be back on board, give us some updates. And then at 1:15, we're also bringing on Tessera. So Tessera Labs. So a new form of trading. I don't think I'm familiar with this one, but I'm looking forward to getting.
We were on stage with them.
We had a couple of great conversations. We actually have a podcast with them that needs to come out. It was a great podcast. It's actually a very interesting project. You guys should definitely tune in. He dips into the private equity side of business, kind of doing larger companies as well, but super interesting. We have a podcast that we got to get out. It was really highly produced and very well done. But yeah, that's an interesting one too. Sorry to interrupt.
And context on CPT. So Patrick's coming on to talk, I think, more about the announcement, capital market stuff. And then Roman, I did a call with Roman before the break that was very engineering heavy. So we dug into the engineering specifics of the Fortitude engine. You know, we hold CPT here at MCG. We are not paid by CPT at all to talk about them. So we talk about them just based out of our own holdings and interests. So that's just disclosure, our alignment. I don't know if this is the next big defense darling or not, but it looks really interesting. And Patrick's reputation is kind of, I think, what drives a lot of the interest around this. So just wanted to be clear on that.
What's the current market cap of this? Is it 1.5 million market cap, which would mean
2 million?
I don't know. Either way, market cap fully diluted value of like the entire company is like sub 15 mil, which just again, it's that arbitrage opportunity that Vibu was talking about earlier. It's like people just don't trust the system yet enough to bid stuff. And it's going to give you that arbitrage where it's like, hey, if you believe that the system's going to work, if you believe there's going to be a liquidity event, if you believe they're going to raise higher, if you believe this is a good new way of doing things, well, can you buy the distressed assets that people are fading because it's simply not proven out? And is there arbitrage there? And, you know, that's the question.
Yeah. And Ecom, I want to talk Argo, but I'll save that for tomorrow. I have some thoughts, and I recently just saw some other additional thoughts that on the timeline that are going to, feed into that. But yeah, still Orgo fan. Just want to break down his year-end comments.
Using Kenny, man. He knows the last name. Not even saying Spencer. I was like, who's he talking about?
The government.
About Spencer Kenny. There we go. Yeah, like Fed.
So dang, that's crazy. So that's Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday we have Avo coming back on. So Paperhead will be back on, share some updates. And Thursday, there's going to be a more engineering focused show around CPT, or I shouldn't say show, I should say segment around CPT. And then Friday, we have Parina coming on as well. Just a little heads up,
a couple additional streams here. So scroll down.
Ranger as well will be on Friday.
Yeah. So ZDLT will be rescheduled to next week. Sorry about that. The dev wanted to reschedule that. Oro Gold is we're gonna talk gold. This was another one we talked to on stage.
Look at that custom graphic.
Look at that custom graphic, man. I love that
graphic. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? I put it into the chat GPT and it gave me a gold bar beside our thing. I was like, no, add more gold. I want a lot of gold. And this is, like I thought that was fine, man.
So love to see it. So, and was that it, or was that the last adjustment?
There is another one that filled in this morning that I'll have to we'll announce later in the week. I'll do a new pinned schedule tweet. We'll just get through tomorrow and maybe Wednesday and update them.
These schedules are always changing, man. You just gotta lock in.
Yeah, dude. People were napping, honestly, and then now everyone's waking up for 2026. People are scheduling stuff. So,
yeah. Looking good. Well, look, guys, appreciate you guys. Love the support. Appreciate the love. I'm going to follow Cryptogle. We'll be back tomorrow with more alpha, more stuff to discuss, more projects to interview, more teams to question. I hope you guys enjoyed the American.Fun alpha on stream today. That happens every single day. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Be safe.
Be safe, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, just hold up a second. I gotta set the outro video here. Okay, it's not uploaded. All right, we're just ending stream normally this time. See you guys. GG's King Men.
Deuces. GG's.